Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see.
Right, let me know if it fixes itself now. I've tried to change it, and hopefully that will be working right now, but it is very weird, to be honest with you, and I do hope it will get a little bit better right now. Yes, we hear you. Apologies for that once again. Always seems like at the World Championship, at the most important time, you know, all the things, but without, yeah, I should have switched it to onto another one here, so Yeah, there we go. So no idea why. It should be back to normal. Apologies for that. And yeah, that certainly took us back a little bit. And hopefully that is going to be the last delay. Very weird, to be fair, because all the settings, you know, when you forget to turn the mic on, all of them were on. But we haven't missed anything very important here. As just as I was about to say, Shawn Murphy's about to play. Important shot here. He's on, you know, 14 points of a break, and now he'll have to come down to trying to take a red away with a very awkward angle here. I think Higgins is winning. It'll come down to if Higgins finally can try and get himself through to an early gap here, because, you know, it will be very much important for Murphy to try and make sure he does exactly what he's done against Xiao Tom previously, and he will come down to him having a good performance here as well. For now played a little bit too close on the left side cushion. And because when he beat Ronnie, he reached the finals. Yeah, but when he beats Ronnie, he always seems to win the whole tournament, not even reach the finals. And even though that will be a difficult thing for him to do against someone like Mark Cullen or Weezer. But for now, Murphy's played some really good stuff there. Taking the brown off the left side cushion and still manages to be just about lined up for the red. Taken into the left corner here. So trying to go for the cue ball to be sent in towards the blue here. Probably not really going to have a chance of potting the pink into the right corner. And, well, once again, he's really having to dig really deep there, Murphy. But for now, he's able to survive, and he's taken that red into the front jaw slightly. Still manages to squeeze that one in. And now he's going to be lined up for the blue to be taken into the right middle. So once again, he's got plenty of reds to try and work his way through. But the problem is, ideally, you want to try and do that with a black, which is not currently available. So he's going to be thinking about trying to go for the pink, which, you know, is clearly going to be aimed at trying to separate those reds away from each other. He's got the pink in, and he has managed to find a really good gap there as well of trying to play for the reds into the right corner. And that way, he should have a chance of playing for the black into the left corner as well. But basically, yeah, of course, you missed the introduction there with the mic not being on. I'm just saying that it will be very, very close in terms of it's two former champions. It will come down to who's going to play better at the starting point to try and get themselves into a lead. And then if that someone is going to be Murphy, you probably would expect John Higgins to come back stronger out there as well. But for now, another black here to be taken into the left corner. Plenty of topspin to be needed. And he tried to do that with backspin instead. And I thought he was going to try and remove the red from the left-hand side of the table. He was trying to suddenly take that cue ball to be separating the reds on the main pack here. So now we'll come back to a red to be taken into the right corner. And this time around, he's got a really nice opportunity of just trying to play for that cue ball to be sent in towards the right-hand side of the table. So seems to have played that one well. And now comes down to the blue to be taken into the left middle as well. So once again, plenty of opportunities there for Shawn Murphy to try and score some good points here. Getting himself through to a shot onto the left corner, making sure that he's got a chance of trying to take that red away. And then he will come down to a shot on the blue to be taken after the, of course, he manages to clear out the black. I mean, it depends, to be fair, because if he manages to get the black to be available into the right corner, he may as well try and split the pack from the black as well. But in the meantime, he's about to take that red away from the black and extend his break to 48 points and counting. Looking to go for a shot now into the right corner. Make sure he's going to position himself nicely for the black here. About to be taken. And yeah, just very carefully looking at the black. He still needs a really good exit in relation to the way that he wants to try and separate those reds away from each other. Now he needs a good shot here to play. And then he will come down to very much high scoring chance there. But Murphy is going to miss the black. And well, this is going to be a very important shot there for him. 49 points that he scores. Managed to put the black safe. But now it's down to Higgins to try and score some points of his own. Because unforced errors, this is number 8 for Murphy. And already, even in the first frame, it's not quite going to be as straightforward as breaks of 68, 69 or 100. Now it will come down to a shot to be taken into the right corner. And he sure does need to try and play for the pink in towards the right middle. So try and get that cue ball to be running towards the black. He's actually managed to bring the black into the open play. Is he going to be on the colour though? Well, I'll tell you what, you may be able to see the black here. It's a really good shot there by Higgins because he clearly was trying to do that on purpose. And now, if he's able to get through to the black, he's got a fantastic opportunity to try and get himself in front for the first time in this match, and ultimately try and put a little bit more pressure on Shawn Murphy here. It does seem like he's unable to get through to the black. Whether it's going to be a tactical thing where he's unable to get through to a red, but anyway, he's going to have to try and take the blue into the left middle. Higgins plays good under pressure. He certainly does, usually. And now he's taking another good shot on the blue. Needs that cue ball to keep on rolling for now. And a little bit too close to the side cushion. Maybe a little bit awkward there for him to try and cue this shot well. But at the same time, he should have a decent opportunity of trying to take that red away and make sure he's still going to be lined up nicely for a shot to be taken into the right corner of the table. I mean, yeah, he's got 3 options to choose from here, but he's probably going to have to go for the one onto the right or the middle, because that will eventually be the shot that he can try and play in relation to the blue here. So then, a very important shot to be played. And now he's trying to hold the cue ball for the black there, which I feel like he refused that shot previously because of not having the ability to try and put that cue ball to be lined up for those reds, very much from the left-hand side of it. Now, whether it's down to he's changed his mind here, whether it's down to him getting a couple of more of those reds to be available, or is he going to just try and go for that difficult shot into the right middle anyway? As we can see, tournament long pot success, 63% for Higgins, 64% for Shawn Murphy. So long pot certainly have been a great addition to their skill. Tournament highest break for Murphy is going to be joint first with Mark Cullen of 140, and then he'll be John Higgins that has got 128 points that he scores. Well, it's an interesting shot that he's played. I'm not sure whether he was down to planned shot or not, but this is exactly what I meant. This is why I thought he refused the black in the first place, and now he's going to have to go for a difficult shot either into the left middle or into the green pocket here. A bit bizarre there, the way that he tried to take the pace away from the cue ball. You know, he surely had to put the foot through the pedal and make sure that he was going to be very much down to playing that shot off the right side cushion as well. Give that cue ball a huge bounce, but whatever it was, it's in the past now. You have to try and recover in the present. Whether he's going to be able to do that, the line seems to be good. The line seems to be very, very good. And it's a red that he's taken quite well into that green pocket and now finds himself to be 34 points behind and still with a great ability to try and make it very much a frame on the board there for him straight away. So looking to get that cue ball to be positioned on the red into the left corner. Now still realizing that he's going to be 28 points down, but at the same time, you know, he's getting himself through those semi-difficult shots there. And now eventually having to play those shots under pressure seems like it has worked out a treat for him out there. As he's still going to get himself carefully positioned for a shot into the right corner. Let me just try and see what's going to be happening with the scoreboard, because it seems like it's frozen a little bit, which is going to be down to just a little bit of unstable connection, but it should be fine now. 29 points. He's very much down to John Higgins here to try and score a couple of more here. And he will need pretty much a total clearance for him to try and be lined up with a frame win. Now just having a look at that red to be taken into the right middle. Once again, doesn't have to be putting a lot more pressure on him. Just make sure he takes it one shot at a time. And now he should be able to be on the black once again. Needs an angle there on the black to make sure he's going to have the position of that cue ball to be sorted out on the right-hand side of those reds. And it seemed like he's done that pretty well. So once again, just try and roll the black in with no extra pace. And make sure that ideally, you don't want to try and use the cushion here at all. You want to just make sure the natural angle for the cue ball is going to set you up with a shot of the reds to be taken into the left corner. A little bit too far there, but at the same time, that was needed to try and make sure you didn't just try and roll the black in with no pace at all, because that makes the pot a lot more difficult for yourself. So still a little bit of extra distance, so this red does need to disappear. And then he'll come down to just 9 more shots that he needs. And he will be very much down to John Higgins to try and complete the first frame. Now then he's on 38 points. Looking to try and to get that cue ball to keep on running towards the left-hand side of the table here. Make sure he takes the black carefully into the middle of the pocket. And now he seems to have played the shot well, because if he's going to be anywhere near straight, I mean, once again, the black wasn't easy there for Murphy, but he just caught too much of the front jaw, tried to go into the reds, and in the end he's got into the reds, but allowed John Higgins to be very much down to, allowing a chance to come back here. Murphy forgot how to play. Well, listen, it was a difficult black. I wouldn't say, you know, he forgot how to play. Just because he had one simple mistake doesn't really mean anything. And we've seen those mistakes to come on numerous occasions as well from John Higgins in the previous session of snooker. Both are warming up exactly. Good play from Higgins for now. He certainly is. And he's now going to just try and go for, those type of shots. The blue is going to be the frame ball, but ultimately you still want to try and complete it with a total clearance there on the line and make it very much the highest break that we've seen from John Higgins' point of view, and make it the highest break, the second highest break apart from that century that we've seen from Murphy in the fourth frame. Now asked the cue ball to be cleaned, and after that he's played that shot on the paint really, really well. And now just the 6 colours for John Higgins to try and finish off the job here. Murphy, of course, will be disappointed inevitably, but of course it's a natural reaction. You can't be happy after losing out on a frame, potentially losing out on a frame, despite having 49 points of a lead at the starting point of it. Now then, 54 points, officially the highest break for John Higgins so far, and of course for it to come in the first frame of the second session is going to mean a lot to him, because now he will leave it very much down to a decent opportunity to try and play a shot on the brown here and leave himself to be lined up with a frame ball as well on the blue. So still, really good stuff there from Higgins in relation to the way, that he was able to bring himself very much straight into position there of trying to get that black away from the red onto the blackboard cushion. And ever since, he never seemed like he was going to be looked back on anything that happened in the past. And now, ahead by 12 points, and making sure he will come down to 17 points of a lead and looking to be lined up for the pink as well. That will be very much down to John Higgins having a really good line and making sure that he's got himself through to a gap of 72 plays 49, and let's see if he's going to try and bother about the black. He won't. He will be down to 72 points, not quite his total clearance, but in the end it doesn't really matter there for John, because he's still going to find himself in a position of having 23 points of a lead and now a break of 72 points, which is going to be a really good response to what we've seen from Shawn Murphy in the starting point of the frame of 49 points when he missed the black, wasn't able to get another turn in this particular frame, and then he will come down to very much John Higgins to try and steal that frame away from Shawn Murphy and make it himself to be the man trying to take the lead in this match for the very first time. So, he was down 1 frame to 0, 2-1, 3-1, 4-3, and for the first time, as I say, it's not going to be a draw or Murphy in the lead. It is John Higgins that is going to find himself with a really good steal, and just trying to make sure he's not really going to have to come through the test of being so many frames behind like he's done against Robertson, like he's done against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Now, it is very much going to be down to John Higgins' show, and he's going to try and put up a great show here for the fans once again, as he's now going to be looking and trying to stay in the zone here. Make sure he will come down to a couple of very important opportunities to be taken away. And you just have to make sure that he will come down to Murphy now to have what it takes to respond. As Murphy seems to, probably just trying to focus on what's going to be happening ahead of him in the 10th frame, while Higgins really going to win this session for now. He's certainly looking like the man to win the first frame, and you never quite know what's going to happen in frame number 2 as well. Now then, frame number 10 in general, frame number 2 of the second session, and he will come down to a shot to be taken here on those reds, trying to spread those out away from each other, and that will certainly come down to a shot to be taken on the cue ball. Try and get that one to be rolling all the way, and he will be down to a long shot here to be taken from the cue ball as well. And decent opportunity here for John to try and get the cue ball to be working for him in his favour, because once again he has been left with a chance to try and take the red away into the left corner. He probably is not going to be one of those shots there, which is going to be classified as a shot to nothing, because you are going to have to try and take a little bit of risk with that shot. And he probably is going to be looking at the right-hand side of those reds to try and position one of them, potentially to be taken in towards the left corner. He's played that shot pretty well in relation to the cue ball, but you can see he's left the red away to John Higgins as well. So it was a little bit pacey, that from Murphy. So now it will certainly come down to Shawn Murphy to get back to his seat, and potentially a chance now for John Higgins to be available. He's got a decent opportunity to try and take the red away into the right corner. Make sure he's got a decent shot on him now at the starting point of the second frame as well. And can he try and find himself to be the man setting the pace to this second frame? The answer is he can't. And let's see where the cue ball is going to finish here. And it seemed like it's going to finish very much close to the bulk line. But in relation to the red, he has sort of gone safe towards the bulk cushion here. And he will be down to a shot on the red to be played into yellow pocket. And yeah, he will come down to a decent opportunity. Probably come and gone there. This plays like two seeds clashing. You can cheer for whoever you like. As for me, I'll be cheering for Uncle John, who's more reserved than the football team, who get the chance to easily defeat them. The translation may not be perfect out there as well. Who's at Shawn was sleeping? Come and watch. Yeah, but the thing about Shawn Murphy is that he's played a decent shot here, and he has sort of managed to nearly flick a red into the left corner, but at the end time, it seemed like he's managed to get away off the black there. So I'm not sure about Higgins retiring at the end of the year. Any update on that? Maybe we'll, if it goes all the way. That was April Fool's. So forget about that thing. It's a little bit unfortunate that he doesn't give you the date on that, but that certainly was down to April Fool's because it was published on the 1st of April. And yeah, of course, Higgins hasn't announced anything like that. For now, he's just taken a really nice shot away, which even though Murphy was really looking forward to try and get cover on the yellow, now it seemed like he wasn't able to do that. And he will come down to, got me a month later, exactly, you know, it's exactly a month later. It's the 1st of May, and yeah, there's still relevant trick there. It's very much going to be scaring people with that. It's probably the most, one of the most liked posts as well, with all the ones that we've seen, which, you know, some of the people didn't get the joke, some of the people did, but in the end, Higgins wasn't able to get himself through to a chance to be taking the black away. So now it will come down to a chance here for Shawn Murphy to get back to the table after Higgins only scoring a single point here, and now putting himself back to his seat, looking at the potential way of trying to get that cue ball to be rolling towards the bottom half of the table. And ultimately very important for him to try and get the early points on the board there, especially after what happened in the previous frame where you can still see, you know, Higgins having pretty much 130 less points than Shawn Murphy has got on his account, but at the same time, it will be very much Higgins that he's going to find himself in the lead by 5 frames to 4. So now, once again, just giving the turn back to John Higgins, making sure the black is going to be in the way of that red to be taken potentially into the right corner, and still looking to try and get it into the right-hand side of the table. And to play the shot with plenty of topspin, make sure he's going to have that cue ball to keep on accelerating towards the lower half of the table here. And he's got a very important shot now to play. And has he left out a chance here for Shawn Murphy? Well, the bottom line is he certainly has left him a safety shot to play off the right side cushion, and ultimately probably at you know, a couple of red selections as well at the left hand side of the table next to the main bunch. So I'm like Mr. First Frame, you're not the only one. You know, had a couple of issues to try and get stream up early, then, you know, had the mic to be working out, to be out of the picture as well. But now we should be back, and certainly should have a very entertaining first frame on our hands, as a break of 49 points from Shawn Murphy was responded with a break of 72 points from John Higgins. And now it comes down to another great shot there to be played by Murphy, and he seems to have played that one really, really well, because of all the dangerous reds that he's left over the right corner, he seems to have managed to cover up pretty much all of them. Although Higgins might be tempted here to try and take 2 of them into each other, try and play them as a plant, and get himself through to a chance of getting the red available into the right corner. So yeah, that certainly is going to be very interesting to be watching out there. So you're going to try and play that cue ball to be heading through a gap. You may get into a safe zone where, well, we sort of got that cue ball to be in a safe zone, but now he needs the cover on the yellow. Let's see if he's going to get it, and the answer seems like he will certainly get the cover on the yellow. He's had one of those reds to be heading pretty much all the way across to the top-hand side of it, but now, as you can see, Murphy's going to come and have a look at that red, but in the end, he's unable to get through to it, so he'll have to try and find his luck elsewhere. Although, can he really afford to try and be playing a shot like that, or is he going to try and force himself to try and take that red away from the ball cushion here? So just having a look at the way that he's got those reds to be lined up. Of course, he has got a chance to try and take the red into the right corner as well, but it is going to be down to how much of that red can he actually see, and the answer is plenty of it in the end. A really good shot there by Murphy once again, and nicely cued at the end. And look at that, once again, beautifully struck off the left side cushion and lines up for the blue now to try and take it away. So once again, an interesting quest there for Shawn, and trying to come back from a little bit of a frame disaster in the previous occasion. He will probably come down to a decent opportunity to take the blue away into the left middle, and on top of that, he's going to be desperately looking for a couple more of those reds to be taken into the right-hand side of the table here. So play this shot with some real power here, and make sure he's going to be lined up on those reds to be taken into the right corner. But now he's going to be getting into a very important sequence of a couple of those frames there to be played, and ultimately he needs to try and make sure he's going to make usage of the fact that he's being the first player to get those opportunities every single time there, and now still positioning himself to go for those reds to be taken into the corner. The black is out of position, the pink is not necessarily going to be much help either, so for now he will come down to just trying to score some big points on the blue here, which doesn't always go to plan. But ultimately we've seen Murphy try and stay on the black with the previous frame. Didn't really work out for him. And now it comes down to a shot on the blue that he's played pretty well here, I have to say. Trying to get that cue ball to be lined up on another red to be taken into the left corner. At the same time, he may actually have the angle to try and get another red to be disturbed towards the right corner whilst playing that cue ball to be sent towards the right side cushion. And make sure he's going to get that cue ball with plenty of backspin on it. Seems to have played that shot well, but ultimately, is he going to come down to a very important shot here to be played one more time and try and get the blue to be taken into the left middle? Try and get that cue ball to keep on rolling as well towards the red at the top hand side of the table. So that does seem like very much the reality here for Shawn Murphy. And still having to look on, the scoreboard, only seeing 18 points there next to his name. But ultimately about to take a very good red away from John Higgins, which potentially could be a nice introduction there for either one of the players. Make sure he's going to be the one trying to set the pace, as I say, to the remainder of the frame, and ultimately try and do something that he wasn't able to achieve in the previous frame. And by that, of course, I mean trying to win the frame in a single visit to the table. Now, plays a really nice shot to try and disturb the pink, and it seemed like that will give him a lot more flexibility here in relation to the reds, but ultimately, now he's got the pink available into the left middle. It may only be for one more shot there, because the pink is still going to be covered up, to the right corner, to the left middle as well, as soon as it goes back onto its own spot. I'm so disappointed. Make sure you let me know why, because so far, probably hasn't happened so many of those things there that could, force you to be disappointed here. So now Murphy carefully taking the red away into the left corner, now trying to go for the pink into the left middle as well, trying to play through this shot and then getting himself through to a chance of trying to get that cue ball to keep on rolling here to the red, take it into the right corner. Once again, seems to have played that one well, but has he managed to get the contact point on the red nicely? Yes, he has. So he's going to have the pink to be available into 3 out of those corner pockets, and as soon as he takes one more red away, that will surely get him towards the finish line and make sure that he will come down to John Higgins to try and settle for another opportunity there to come his way, because for now, he certainly would expect, John Higgins to probably spend the rest of this frame sat in his chair. He's got a really nice opportunity to try and take all of these points away from Higgins. And now he's going to be playing for a blue here for one more time, get himself lined up for the red to be taken into the left corner. And now as he gets himself through to 36 points of a gap, hoping Shawn to win this frame, he does seem very likely for that to be the case. For now, just carefully taking the red away into the left corner. Get another red very much on the score sheet. And incredibly still, he's managed to score more points here so far than John Higgins has managed, but he was the one to lose the first frame. Then, of course, he's not guaranteed to win this frame just yet, although he's getting closer. 43 points of a gap, 83 at the table. Now getting himself through to a chance of taking the red away into the left corner. Then the pink will follow into the same pocket as well. And then it will come down to 2 more easy reds to be taken. One into the left, one into the right part of the table. And at that stage, he'll be very much closing in on that frame ball to be available to himself as well. John Higgins is extremely tough. Yeah, that's true. Now he's going to be down to 50 points ahead there in relation to Shawn Murphy, and now having to make sure he will be down to a red taken into the left corner here as well. Trying to get that cue ball to keep on rolling for the pink to be taken into the left part of the table as well. So just try and play this shot away. Make sure you're going to keep on rolling that cue ball. Once again, every single time that he plays those type of shots, he's going to have a chance to try and take the red away into the left corner. So 57 points there is the lead for Shawn. And he will come down to one more red in a collar to be taken, and then he will see John Higgins to be leading snookers. Now 58 points of a lead, 15 under the table, and he will be very much down to a shot here to be taken on the pink, which will leave Higgins to require a couple of snookers to be taken. And ultimately, this is the shot there where it can go right or it can go wrong here for Shawn. But he will be very much everything going right in this particular frame, and he will be down to 65 points that he scores. So all down to 60s there, as you can see the highest breaks to be achieved by Shawn Murphy, and he's going to bring himself back towards a chance there. You can read those characters. I don't know what you mean. If you talk about the chats there, I've got the translator on, so it does sometimes allow me to, translate, although it's not really accurate, so we'll probably have to sort something else for the next season where it's going to be just English only, or you will come down to just trying to implement a more significant translating feature. For now, Murphy's able to take a bonus red to himself and take the pink with it away into the right middle as well. So now a chance to try and take the red away into the right corner whilst playing for Min Chap. There you go. Sorted that one out. Yeah, as I say, it's going to come down to Google Translate. So just trying to translate that to English, but sometimes it doesn't actually tell you the exact message, and it may not actually be accurate. For now, just trying to stick on this break there for Shawn Murphy, because it seemed like at the start it was going to be impossible to go beyond the value of 40 points or so. Now, he certainly managed to win the frame, and now if he's able to take the black away, he may be looking for a century break to be very much available to him as well, as he cues that black nicely, but overrun slightly for the red to be taken into the right-hand side of the table. So 79 points of a lead, making sure he goes for that red and carefully takes the white through to the left side cushion. Now, is he going to have a chance to try and play for the black into the right corner? A break of 81 points here, so could still make a break of 123 out of it, but unfortunately the cue ball is going to meet the yellow on its way down the table, and it'll probably be a break of 88 points as the end stage there for Shawn Murphy. Let's see if he's going to have a chance to try and roll this red away into the right part of the table. The answer is no, so it's still going to be a very impressive break of 88 points there from Shawn Murphy, and now whenever gets a chance, seems to be able to take it, of course, apart from Shawn Murphy not being able to do that in the first visit to the table in this session. Good enough is enough to understand. It's nice to exchange with all people, even though they're not speaking the same language. True, Letitia, that is true. So you do make a good point with it. So, yeah, you may come down to just trying to stick with it for now. And, of course, it is going to be very much down to inclusivity as well. And, yeah, you do make a good point about it. Another good point about this match is that for now, we haven't seen some players to be running away with it. Weezer against Mark Cullen seemed like that match is going very much one-sided for now. But this one is going to be very much down to Shawn Murphy and John Higgins to be exchanging some really good play there. And now the breaks of 72 points from Higgins doesn't seem like it'll be enough to try and compete for the highest break to be made of Shawn Murphy there of 68, 69, 88 and 100 points exactly, as he now leaves himself in a position to try and take it away out there as well, to make sure he will be very much down to a 2-frame showdown before the intermission is going to come into place. And then, of course, at that stage, we're still going to have 4 more frames to be seen ahead of the afternoon session as well. So then still very much looking forward to see a little bit more of John Higgins there, because despite of that break of 72 points being really impressive there in the first frame, apart from that, we haven't really seen loads of him as well. And now 210 points more there that Murphy has managed to score in relation to the previous 10 frames. Now he seems himself to be in a position of trying to take it even further away from Higgins and make sure that he will find himself to be very much in the lead here of the 11th frame onwards. Now trying to go for the break-off shot, very much trademark shot there from Shawn Murphy as we've seen. So expect the third red to be hit. That was the case. And he seems to have played that one really, really well. Not too close to the jaws of the pocket. And now not too close to the blue either. Total point 360, 392. That can't be the case. That can't be the case simply because of, you know, those breaks of 68, 69, 88 and 100. That will be more than 360. So that's impossible. And I think it is Thai language. It is. It certainly is. I can tell you that for free. And for now, John Higgins is about to play the shot onto the left-hand side of the table. Make sure he gets himself running towards the top side of those colours. And he sort of still managed to carry the brown to be out of the way there. But at the same time, as long as he hasn't left anything available for a long raid, then he should be good enough there for Higgins to try and settle for. 610, 39. Well, that's... yeah, I mean, that is true. Tournament safety success is going to be down to 81% for John Higgins and 77% for Shawn Murphy here as well. Now trying to send that cue ball away from those reds. He has pushed one of those reds to be taken. No keyword to answer them. Exactly. If you're going to have a chance to try and go for the red into the left corner here for John, I mean, you've got the black to be available. You're not really going to be leaving too many of those reds away into the right middle as well. So it's a decent opportunity now for Higgins to try and really make things right there for himself. Because if he's able to take that cue ball away, it'll be a great chance there to try and make things right, as I say. And then ultimately, it will come down to a decent opportunity to try and take those reds away and make sure he keeps that cue ball to just keep rolling towards the black. It's an important shot there. We've seen a couple of those missed in the previous frame. This one is certainly going to be made there by John Higgins, and he manages to play those shots through really, really well. And now on the black, once again, after a minor misjudgment, it was only a minor mistake there from Murphy's point of view. It still leaves himself to be in the world of trouble, and certainly leaving himself to try and go for the red to be taken into the right corner here. So let's see if he's going to try and finish off on some of those lower reds to be taken. For now, takes the black away pretty comfortably indeed. And he's going to have so many of those reds to choose from. This does seem like a very nice chance there for John to try and take this one away from Shawn Murphy as well. Seems like he's just going to try and treat those shots on a one-by-one basis. Make sure he's going to have a chance of playing for the shots very much steadily there for himself. As he now takes the red away, wobbles that one in, but still allows him to be with a chance of trying to make things right there. So just carefully positioning himself on the black to be taken into the left corner, and then he will come down to a decent opportunity just to be on those reds available into the left or the right side, and he's played that shot superbly well, and now surely he's going to be through towards the finish line. And I mean, even though it's only 16 points, but look at the way that he's managed to separate those reds away from the cue ball, and ultimately look at how many reds he's actually going to have available to him. Well, that's going to be very much painful for Murphy to be watching, because of course he had to work so hard for his previous position, and now Higgins potentially going to be heading for, you know, Weezer, a bit of a story, because you have got 3 reds, 3 blacks to be taken. So for now, we'll have to wait and see on whether that count will have to go a little bit further down the table. For now, of course, he's got plenty of points to try and recover there in relation to the total of those to be scored in the previous 10.5 frames. You know, a very important shot on the red to be taken into the left corner. Now, try and get that cue ball to keep on rolling towards the red, taken into the left part of the table as well. And now a break of 25 points here for John Higgins, and making sure he'll very much come down to a shot on the black here to be taken. Probably trying to play the cue ball into those reds once again will certainly help. Not even down to, you know, being greedy to try and get even more of those reds to be in the open play, but probably ultimately just down to the factor of not having a great ability to play, you know, a positional shot onto those reds, because ideally you want to be positioned on the left-hand side of it, which is not really going to be a chance there. But he tried to do that there, Higgins. Tried to do that on the right-hand side, sacrificing a red to be taken slightly further up the table. But now, just looking to try and get himself through to another shot here to be taken into the left part of the table. So 33 points will be the lead after that red is going to disappear. So just once again having a bit of a look to see what's going to be happening around him. Make sure he takes that shot away with topspin, potentially even getting that cue ball to keep on running towards the left side cushion as well, as he gives it a bit of a bounce and now positioning himself nicely for the black to be taken into the right corner here. So now just having a look at the scoreboards and making sure that, first of all, of course, he is going to be very much focused on trying to get this frame out of play. And then, of course, if that will be the case, he will be very much down to a shot on the black to be taken. He's played that shot well, but has he played it well enough? Well, he needs the reds to try and find his way out of here. And I'm not sure he's going to get it here, because he's got a chance of potentially heading for the red into the yellow pocket. He may have a chance of going for the red into the green pocket as well. I mean, staying on the black is certainly going to be very much on the schedule for, but I mean, is he going to have the ability, or is he trying to play the shot for the blue? It's risky. Now, he needs this one to go in. How's the line? Seems like it's going to be a little bit further towards the cushion, but, well, the 147 now is going to be out of the picture. How many frames this session? It will be down to 8 of those to be seen, and 2 of those have already finished, so 6 more including this one. And, of course, the 147 is going to be out of the picture, but ultimately for Higgins, he will come down to a shot on the red to have been taken, and, you know, a really nice line here to try and take the red away into the left middle, and make sure he's going to try and stay on the blue for a couple of more shots to be taken here as well. So now 47 points of a lead here for John Higgins, and he should get himself through to a chance of playing the blue away towards the right middle and get himself through to an opportunity. Just getting that cue ball to keep on rolling towards the lower end of the table here, and making sure the third break of 50 plus will certainly arrive on the schedule here as well. Now then, just seems like he's going to need the extension to try and go for that red to be taken into the left corner here. And very important to try and play this shot away in very much the schedule of trying to get that red to disappear into the left corner. But still, he needs to try and play this one for the black. And yeah, he will certainly come down to a very important shot there to be taken. So a red to have been taken into the left corner. Now he needs a big bounce here on the cue ball. He doesn't want to be straight on the black here, because he's going to have a red very close towards the left side cushion. I mean, he doesn't want that cue ball, well, that's perfectly straight, and he's going to be perfectly heading in towards that red on the left side. So, I mean, has he got an alternative? If he's not perfectly straight on this one, he can try and find a little bit of the angle on the black to try and take that one away towards the right middle. And if he keeps on rolling that cue ball for a shot into the middle, yeah, he's just tried to take the pace away from white pretty confidently there. And now getting himself through to an opportunity, taking 2 more reds away. As long as it's going to be whether a colour of blue or more expensive than that, he certainly will come down to a really nice short selection there from John Higgins, and just making sure that he will be down to 68 points of a lead or anything like that will take him over the finish line and force Shawn Murphy to be the one and very much trying to play catch up again. Overrun here slightly on the blue to be taken. And now trying to make it down to 64 points of a lead. And just having a look on the shot that he's left there over to himself. It's going to be down to the brown to be probably available here. Just about you can squeeze past the yellow. But realistically, it's going to come down to the green or blue here to be taken. So which one of them is it going to be? The blue is too much of the angle, and green is probably not too much of the angle here. So it seemed like he's going to go for a bit of an overkill here on the blue, trying to get that cue ball to be working for him and potentially heading straight into the pink here as well. It'll be a very important shot there for him to play, especially if it goes well. Now, has he gone well for him? The blue is going to be in, and he's not perfectly positioned on the red, but at least he's got the position to some extent down there. And now, 66 points of a lead, trying to go for the red into the left corner and make sure he'll be in there with a chance of trying to stay on the black here as well. There's the pink pot to the right corner. He doesn't, and he certainly hasn't been possible to, you know, very much the end stage of a frame, but he doesn't need to be doing that because he's managed to go on the entire frame without needing the pink, going for the blue, and now going for the black to be taken into the left corner as well. So play the shot with a little bit of top spin and a bit of extra power there on the black. Make sure he's still going to be lined up for those reds to be taken. But wow, he missed the black there. that certainly wasn't the plan. And now, 67 points is the lead, 67 points at the table. Can Shawn Murphy try and do the impossible and try and force himself to be having a respot now? That certainly is going to be, putting a little bit of pressure there on Shawn Murphy. Let's see if he's going to be able to get through this raid and try and pot it into the right corner. Seems like he's going to be able to do that here, though, as he now has a very careful look towards those raids to be taken. But in the end stage, he probably won't be able to get through to a raid into the right corner. And yeah, it will come down to very much an easy shot there to have been taken onto the right corner. And 67 points behind, 67 at the table. So, of course, if that raid is taken into the other pocket, he still needs to take the risk of trying to bring that cue ball to be hammered down the table as well. But for now, it seems like it's going to be a bit of a different story here. And what can he try and achieve off this raid to be taken? He's going to go for it. He's going to miss it. Now, where's that raid going to finish? Is he going to concede that one away to John Higgins as well? But we're certainly going to leave him with the raid to be taken into the right corner as well. So, 67 points is the lead. And 67 points remaining here. It will come down to Murphy to come back to seat. And yeah, very much an interesting short selection here to try and go for the raid into the right corner. Trying to go for this raid very carefully with backspin here on the white. But just make sure he's going to keep on rolling that cue ball towards that raid. And he's missed there. So once again, doesn't seem like he's going to be able to get over the finish line just yet. But has he left? Once again, the same good old story there. Murphy needs to be taking those raids with the black every single time there. And for now, it doesn't seem like he's going to have that opportunity to be presenting himself here. So can he try and go for the raids into the left middle? Or is that going to be a bit too much to ask there of himself? Needs to try and take the shot away very comfortably there. Try and take it with backspin preferably. But, there's going to be way too many variables trying to prevent him from trying to go for shots like that. The fact of the cue ball being so close to the black ball cushion, the factor of the cue ball being not really lined up with the right sort of angle. Is he going to try and go for the shot into the left middle anyway? He needs to play this one with real power, and he's got the red in. Is he going to have the cue ball to be planted nicely for the black as well? Well, I'll tell you what, he's certainly going to be putting John Higgins under a real bit of pressure there, because the respot is certainly not going to be game over for you. And now, he still puts himself in a position where he has to pot the black. He has to make sure he's going to be on the red as well. We'll be doing the World Seniors on Wednesday. I'll have to wait and see if Ronnie's going to be in there. I may as well try and do that, but it will come down to very much, the interest from the fans and how many people are going to be tuning into the stream. Because for now, nearly broke the mic out there. And for now, I don't really have that into the plans, but we'll see what's going to happen. Oh, that was a horrible miscue. So whatever he was down to Shawn Murphy, he's going to have to check that tip out there to make sure it's going to be functioning the right way. Because now, that certainly leaves John Higgins with an easy frame ball to be taken. And it will come down to a break of just 8 points there from Shawn. Hoping that he hasn't done too much damage to his tip out there. So just having a very careful look with that new chalk that they use. So just having a look once again towards those reds there from John Higgins. So once again, having to play this shot with plenty of topspin. Make sure he gets himself lined up for the collar just for a little bit of safety purpose as well. But in the end, he will come down to 60 points of a lead here. And very much down to 59 at the table. So the pink to take this one away. And then he'll come down to a shot on, basically no chance of return there for Shawn Murphy to try and get back to the table. As now will be John Higgins ahead by 66 points, only 51 on the table. And now it is going to be a great shot on the white that he just needs to try and keep that one rolling towards the pink. So just make it as many points as he can score here. But he was always going to be down to a frame here, being too strong there in favour of John Higgins. And ultimately, it will come down to rolling that cue ball in towards the left side cushion, which of course, Higgins already is going to lose, gain a couple of those ranking points, as is Murphy, especially with Shawn, to be fair, because, we're going to have Higgins to have reached the quarter-final stage of 2 seasons back, and Murphy wasn't, of course, in the quarter-final stage of 2 seasons ago. He was in the last season, where he lost out to Trump, so he's not going to have too many ranking points to try and defend for next season as well. But of course, the WPBSA might have the player association to be joined for a meeting where they finally go for those, very much points-based system, and not just make it down to how many ranking points is going to be exactly the same as the winnings that you collect, which you probably have to put it down to being a correct thing. Although it will be quite problematic at the start, because you're going to have to try and keep those, rankings in a steady position there, which would very much limit the any sort of raise there from the players to a certain extent. For now, just going for the green and trying to make the most amount of points here with Higgins. Once again, a very important point for him to try and get this frame on the ball here and away from Shawn Murphy. Now, 26 points is going to be the break here for Higgins. So if he tries to make a total clearance out of this one, it'll be something like 51. In the end, he's gone for a double. Seems like he hasn't played that one with enough power. So it will come down to just 26 points that he scores. But that certainly will be more than good enough to try and make sure he is the one that gets himself through to a lead of 6 frames to 5. And Shawn Murphy is going to be pretty disappointed how he's only won 1 out of those 3 frames. And at the end, he will come down to John Higgins to try and take the lead of 7 frames to 5 if he's able to win the next frame as well. For now, he finds himself to be in a position where he's going to have to try and, for Murphy, try and sort out his stip to make sure he hasn't done any damage on that previous shot there, where he was still going for trying to attempt a respot. In the end, he hasn't worked out at all. And, he certainly needs to make sure he puts plenty of chalk on that, plenty of rubber to try and clear off any damage, any sort of bits are sticking out. So just having to go through that process as well, and just thinking about something else there as well. So yeah, it's going to be very easy to see how the tip reacts on the first couple of frames, on the first couple of shots, I should say, because he's going to have an opportunity to try and do a little bit of maintenance on it and the intermission. But right now, it still seems like he's going to try and put plenty of chalk on it. But whether he's going to come down to just a couple of more shots there to be played, we'll have to wait and see. But now just having a very nervous look towards it. But now he's going to be looking to try and make it down to 6 frames each out there. We've seen it 1 frame each. We've seen 3 frames each, 4 frames each, 5 frames each. And now 6 frames each as well. Ever since that 3-1 of a gap that we've seen to Shawn Murphy, it has been very much down to a draw to have been on the cards every single time there as well. So can he try and make it once again to be all square after the opening 12 frames to be played? And once again, just having a very close camera action on the tip to be played. John Higgins to break off in the meantime. Once again, only the third time, he's going to try and find himself to be in front after trying to win this frame away. Of course, he had a 5-4 of a lead at the opening frame of this second session to have taken against Shawn Murphy, and now he's got a decent opportunity to try and do the same thing here and extend his lead over to 7-5 of the advantage before the second mini session of the day 2 of the semi-final will begin. Poll is closed. Yeah, I tell you what, 51% for Murphy, 49% for Higgins. When you haven't got, a massive horse in the race, especially with Higgins now taking a lead of 6 frames to 5, it'll certainly come down to a very close poll out there, which just makes you probably feel like you shouldn't put the draw anyway, because it just, takes the percentage away from either one of the players. And now it will come down to another shot here to be available from John Higgins, because Murphy's just trying to make sure he's got those reds to be separated pretty quickly. But is he going to backfire here? We'll have to wait and see very shortly, because he's got a decent opportunity to try and take the red away into the right corner. Whether he's going to have the opportunity to try and play the shot carefully through the gap of those 2 reds. But once again, it'll be a problem of trying to make sure he's not going to be, too straight on the black here, and still trying to get the position on the next colour as well. Now then, he's going to go for another red, which is the more difficult one for you to pot. He gets that one in. He's still going to be on the black, and this is a great chance now for Higgins to try and make it down to 7-5 of a lead and somehow win 3 out of the opening 4 frames here, which is going to be, well, absolutely mad result for him, because after being very much on their wrong foot throughout the majority of those sessions against the likes of Robertson, O'Sullivan, and even Murphy at the starting point of the match, if he finds himself to be 7-5 up, I feel like Murphy's going to have plenty of things to lose there at the end of the second session, because
you are going to have some real momentum to have built onto in the previous couple of frames. For now, it's only a single point that he scores, but you still feel like it's going to be a very important point that he scores. Oh, he's missed the black though. Well, that was a bad miss there from John Higgins, and ultimately it is going to come down to a couple of those reds to be taken into the left middle, and it will be very much a great opportunity here for Shawn Murphy to try and take the chance away from Higgins. As I say, it was such a good position there that Higgins had ahead of himself. Now he won't be relevant here because he's about to play that cue ball carefully for the pink and make sure he's still going to have a chance of being lined up for the pink here to be taken into the left corner. Make sure he's going to have the opportunity and trying to keep that cue ball to be playing around the pink. And once again, make that scoreline to be as close as he possibly can be after 12 frames of the action. So then play this red away into the left corner. Make sure he's still going to try and stay on the pink here. And just try and make it down to the pink to have been taken into the left corner as well. So 8 plays 1. In relation to those reds, you've got so many of them to be so close to each other. So ultimately, it will be a bit of a struggling pause here for Shawn Murphy. And ultimately, I just remembered something, a very important thing there. So if you're in the chat there, I'm going to ask you for something. I'm going to spell you a very specific name there. And it's the name of my mom that is getting a birthday today. So if she gets a happy birthday shout, will be very much appreciated there in the chat. So I completely forgot about that one. So yeah, please feel free to join in, and that will be very much down to the name to have been spelt in the chat. And yeah, I appreciate every single one of you to have joined in, and very much trying to wish her a very happy birthday. And hopefully when she's going to be looking back on the stream, and I'll do a little clip for her as well, it'll be very much down to a thing for her to enjoy as well. And yeah, back to the snooker. Meanwhile, we're going to have 15 points of the advantage here for Shawn Murphy to be taken, as he's about to go for the pink, taken into the left corner. Thank you very much, Letitia. Appreciate the comment massively. So then 20 points of a lead there that you're going to have from John Higgins. And of course, it's still going to be very much down to a bit of a problem there that Murphy has left himself with because, Higgins has left himself with because he didn't have any of those points to have on the board, and ultimately, and now it'll come down to a shot to be taken on the black there. Cydrus, thank you very much as well. Appreciate the chat massively. And yeah, he's still going to have a chance to try and go for the black now into the left middle. If he's going to have the opportunity and try and play the black into the left middle, make sure he's going to have the black spot to be available. Not too many of those reds to be getting in the way there as well. And now just playing for the reds to try and keep it on the black here, which, I mean, it may not be an easy task there, but ultimately it will come down to a shot to be taken on the red into the left corner. I mean, it depends on if the pink is going to be possible into the right corner as well there, because if it is, it will certainly come down to a decent opportunity to try and make it down to probably the blue here being the most reasonable option there, because you've got plenty of backspin to have added on the cue ball. If you try and get that one rolling onto the left side cushion, which he's got the angle to try and do, yes, he doesn't leave you in an easy shot to play, and ultimately he's overscrewed massively there if he was playing for the blue. So it felt like the intention must have been to try and get it closer towards the bowl colours. And you say happy birthday in Thailand, I've got no clue, but hopefully the Google Translate will be able to get that one as well, if of course they decide to join in with the celebrations. So for now, 32 points is the lead there for Shawn Murphy. Still finds himself to be nicely lined up on the red, but this time around, it'll be quite difficult to try and, take that cue ball away into the left corner without touching the black here. So if he's going to have a decent chance to try and play for the pink to be taken into the left corner, he seems to have played that shot pretty well, but now still trying to keep himself on the pink to have been taken into the left part of the table. Make sure he's going to keep on playing those reds into the right part of the table as well here. But for now, he's going to have to try and bridge over the pink to be taking a red away into the right corner. So just find himself to be positioned for the red to be taken into the right corner here. And then try and play their pink into the opposite part of the table as well. For now, it seems like he's going to have plenty of those points on the board. But still, remember with Higgins, you can never feel like it's going to have too many of those points to be joining in, and then ultimately he will come back to a chance for the red to be taken into the right corner as well. Now play this shot carefully well there, and he's still going to have that cue ball to be lined up for the pink to be taken into the left corner. But ultimately, it seemed like he's lost his positional play there a little bit in the previous couple of shots, and now needs to recover with plenty of spin there to be added on the cue ball, trying to get in behind of those reds to be taken into the right part of the table. Now 46 points of a lead. Still trying to go for the red to be taken into the right part of the table. And let me just try and pin the message out there in the chat as well. Thank you very much, the Letitia and Cyrus, as I say. And wow, that's a red missed by Shawn Murphy. Where's the cue ball going to finish? Remember, he was playing for the colour, but has he left the red available for John Higgins to try and take? Remember just what happened in the first frame, and just what's going to happen in the fourth frame here as well. Having 49 points of a gap at that stage, now he's going to have 46 points of a gap here, and he's going to have an opportunity given away to John Higgins. Once again, another unforced error from Shawn Murphy in 11.5 frames. We've seen 10 of those already, averaging pretty much 1 per frame. So what Higgins is going to try and achieve here, surely just trying to get a safety out of here. Make sure he plays that cue ball to be sent towards the top side of the table. Seems to have played that one well, though. Compromised the black there with so many of those reds. And has he managed to cover up the left-hand side of those reds? Because he's certainly done really well with the right-hand side to be covered up by the yellow and blue. And now it will come down to very much an interesting shot selection there from Shawn Murphy to be taken. Yeah, it does seem like he will be very much down to a shot to have been taken onto the left-hand side as well. Trying to play that shot through the left side of those reds. And if he manages to get a couple of them to be very much closer towards the right side, then he should be leaving himself pretty nicely there to be lined up. So then, it does seem like the swerve is going to be out of the picture here for Murphy. And it will come down to very much an interesting situation to try and play the shot there as well. In relation to, if he gets that cue ball to keep on running from the left side, happy birthday. Yeah, thank you very much there, Matter. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So just using Google Translate though. Oh, appreciate that. Okay. You know, the interesting thing is, I didn't really realize why Cyrus was doing that, because it still gives me the same message out there. And, well, is it going to be a good enough shot there from Murphy? I'll tell you what, he may have got the contact, but has he left the red available here for John Higgins? Because John is going to be very much looking forward to try and take this red away. And ultimately, it will come down to a red to be taken onto the right corner of the table here as well. Ultimately, he's just going to be looking at those reds that he's got available to him, but just taking a red in itself is not going to be enough there. Quite complicated on my phone right now, exactly. You know, it's never easy for you to be using a translate whilst you have the stream to be open whilst trying to copy and paste the message. And I'm very surprised there that Higgins has refused to be taking a shot away. I understand why, but he needed to play a better safety than that, because he managed to get the black to be in open play so that he's got another colour to try and choose from. But in the end, now will be very much down to 46 points of a lead for Shawn Murphy, and well, down to a chance here for the red to be taken by Shawn Murphy as well. Trying to go for this red now. Is he going to be able to get this one in? He won't. And now has he got one of those reds to be heading too close to the left corner? He hasn't really. And he's also going to get a nice cover on the brown in relation to the left-hand side of the, party of those reds. But he should still have great visibility of the right-hand side of those reds there from John Higgins' point of view. Is he now just looking to try take those reds away into the left corner? Can copy when I'm on the computer, not on my phone. Don't know why. Yeah, it will probably be down to just, sometimes memory on your phone is going to be down to not enough of it. Could leave you to not really having a copy-paste feature, and also it could just, the phone could easily forget the stuff like that as well. For now, Murphy just having one more look towards the red, very close towards the left corner, and then just trying to keep that cue ball to be lined up for the pink or black there. It's probably going to be an easy shot for him to play in relation to the way that he doesn't need to try and put plenty of effort behind this shot. But ideally, he wants to try and play a bit of a Jotrom special. Although he hasn't really done that, he's still going to be lined up nicely on the pink to be taken onto the right middle, because that shot was taken nicely, and he's managed to cue that one pretty well. So then, 1 point there that he scores, and he can sort of afford to be heading for those type of shots here as well. But ultimately, it'll be a chance now to try and Taking the pink away in towards the right middle. If he gets himself through to a chance of trying to be lined up on a couple of more of those reds. I mean, of course, he can try and put the colour safe. Nobody says that he can't be doing that, but ultimately you'll have to be down to green, brown, or yellow, because probably won't be at the situation where the blue, black, or pink will be necessarily needed there by John Higgins, because that's how many points you're still going to have available ahead of yourself. So then, a very important shot there from Shawn Murphy to try and play here. And ultimately, it will come down to a very important sequence of shots here as well. Is he going to try and go for the pink into the right middle? He's probably unlikely to be doing that here at this stage, because he surely would have gone for that shot previously. But he's thinking about something there. Short time, more than a minute there from Shawn Murphy. Just trying to realise on what is going to be the most optimal shot there for him to be taken. So, he can't see the brown. He can't really see the yellow. So, he probably should be down to green, black, or blue that he takes on, because he's clearly not going to try and do anything else with the pink. So, just trying to put that blue to be on the right side rail. Make sure that Higgins is going to have to try and work his way later on in the frame. Of course, Murphy won't need that one away. And, clearly done his maths to realise that even if Higgins manages to score all those reds with high value points, he's still going to need that blue for a frame to be over and done with. But then once again, getting himself through to a chance here, John, to try and get back to the table after the previous break of 47 points there from Murphy. Just unable to get the red into the corner. And then a couple of mistakes later, now it's Higgins that finds himself in the position of trying to go for the red into the corner. He's going to leave that red to be over the corner right now. Is he going to get cover on the black or any more of those reds? It seems like he will do that. So it does come very interesting out there. What can Murphy try and do with this red? He's not going to be able to get through to it with a national angle to try and pot it without having to swerve around the black here as well. So it will be very much down to a shot to be taken on the red into the right corner here as well. And very much looking to try and go for the red now in towards the right corner. I mean, potentially thinking about it there with Murphy, is he going to push that red to be over the corner pocket? He is. But is he going to be able to cover that one up with a black? Brilliant shot there by Shawn. And now, is he going to have that yellow or black to be very much in the way of those reds? Well, the short and sweet of it seemed like it's going to be very, very close. And even if Higgins is able to get that red in, it will still be very difficult for him to try and line up on the colour afterwards as well. So now having a look to see on what's going to be happening around the table here. And ultimately, it'll probably come down to a decent opportunity here to be played in relation to that red to be taken into the left corner. I mean, Higgins is actually starting the shot off the side cushion, which, I mean, it's always risky when you've got that red to be so far away from the pocket, but it feels like with the other red to be the extension of the pocket now, it will probably come down to a shot to be taken on the red. So, just trying to cue that one nicely, but still remember, Higgins he's not really in a position where he can try and take those reds away one by one. He needs to be taking those reds away with some good value colours. So then what's it going to be? Is he going to try and take this one in a straight line? There's plenty of eyes on this red, and he's going to be able to hit that one well. So a potential comeback is on there for Higgins. Just needs that cue ball to slow down here before he goes past the point of not having the ability to try and pot the pink. And he's sort of done that, May have played the shot with a little bit too much power at the end. So it seemed like he's going to have to try and pot the green here in relation to, the top side of the table to be taken. Once again, a great long shot. Yeah, it was a very smart long shot there by Higgins, because he knew that red was going to be helped on by the extension of the pocket there. Or he's going to have to go for a very difficult shot now on the black. It's a do or die shot. He's playing for the reds. And ultimately, if he misses it, it will be a great chance for Murphy to try and take it away. And he has missed it. So it will be down to, he has played for the reds into the left corner, which of course is now going to be covered up by the black. But ultimately, he'll be down to a very risky situation there for John Higgins to try and find himself. Because if Murphy goes for that red into the yellow pocket, it'll be very much down to Shawn just needing a couple of more pots there. And then he'll be down to him having 6-6 over scoreline. And of course, it will be probably a great deal for him because of not being able to take this frame away for the first time. Now able to take that red away nicely and still getting the position to be lined up for the green or black now to be taken. So 47 points of a lead, 59 on the table, and he's got a decent opportunity to try and take that green away with a different type of a shot there on the cue ball. And it seemed like he decided to go for the black here, which is understandable in relation to the points and also having the collar for your opponent to be left over the pocket. But has he played this one with enough power, the black is going to come back on its own spot, and he may potentially block the access out there for a potential chance to try and take the red away into the right corner. So is he going to have to go for an easier red? Well, not really. He was thinking about a safety shot to be played with a couple of seconds there. In the end, he powers that red into the corner, which was so close to the black ball cushion. Now, all he needs to be on the colour here, and that will be it for this frame. He's going to be perfectly on the yellow, so that should be very much down to 6 frames each. And Murphy should be very much clear of any danger to try and get that cue ball to be pointing towards the lower end of the table here as well. Try and play the cue ball through the shot and get himself through to a long range red to be taken into the right corner as well. So there's just a very careful shot there to be taken into the right corner. Make sure he's going to have a chance to try and take that cue ball away and point it towards the left hand side of the table here as well. For now, he'll probably come down to a red to be taken with plenty of power. He doesn't need to be risking plenty of things here, and let's see if Higgins is going to feel like it'll be worth for him to try and make a deal out of this frame. It feels like that for now. It's only 2 snookers, and he's got, plenty of reds ahead of himself to try and work his way towards trying to score some good points here as well. Of course, the problem for Higgins is going to be down to not really having that great ability to try and play those type of shots without, sacrificing the position on the black or the paint to be available. But in the end, he's going to leave a chance away for Shawn Murphy. So Shawn will probably feel like this is a chance for him to try and put him behind any sort of chance of catch-up there for John Higgins, and certainly make sure he will come down to a shot for the left corner. Brilliantly cued there by Murphy, and that will be very much the end stage there. No chance for Higgins to come back now, and he will come down to just a very technical shot to be taken on the pink. But even at that stage, he'll be 58 points of a gap with 43 at the table. So Murphy just probably trying to get that cue ball to be in behind the blue, and then that certainly will take it over the finish line for him, and Higgins won't have any reason to go for the intermission. That will be now 6 frames each, and it will be Shawn Murphy to leave first for the intermission. John Higgins managed to take 2 of those frames to have a 5-4 and 6-5 lead. In the end, Murphy managed to recover every single time out there, and now leaves himself to be in a position of Shawn Murphy trying to take it away with 6 frames each. Once again, nothing to separate the players, and once again, it will be down to John Higgins, Shawn Murphy to try and battle it out further down in this frame. It will be down to a 15 minutes intermission. Feel free to tune in, and we'll be back with more action to see on which one of the players will be able to take it down as an advantage over the 3rd session, but it could still be a draw there. You never quite know. Stay tuned in. Thanks for watching, everyone, and make sure you don't leave anywhere for 15 minutes time. Stay tuned into the stream. Plenty of action still to resume.
Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still, hanging in the balance. Not the life I want to live, I want to take it all. Standing tall, fear I weighed the person you are.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 won't you let the light shine through? In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for you, for you, for you,
When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the When you want to get off that darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. When you want to get off the darkest ground,
blackened eyes make my way into your mind, just to know what you knew. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control. Let the darkness take control. Darkness take control. May the darkness take control. Take me in the smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Sink to your heart to find you. Open up your eyes till you're blinded by the lies, so you can see what you do. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Teardrops on the floor, the pain is over.
And once again, everybody, the intermission is now over. So hopefully this time around, the microphone is certainly going to be functioning. I have checked that one before. So once again, 6 frames each, nothing to separate the players. Once again, the trademark break off by Shawn Murphy. And that leaves John Higgins to be the player. Very much looking forward to try and see any opener here at the Reds. So far, it has been going pretty well for him, and thank you, Letitia, and it will come down to probably a little bit of stat for you now. Current session pot success 90% for Murphy, 86% for John Higgins. It does seem like these stats will be very evenly matched there. 60% for current session long pot success for Higgins, 57% for Shawn Murphy, which is surprising because one of the Murphy's biggest strengths has actually been the long pot success. Highest break in the session, as you can see on your screen, 100 of a break was made in the first session there by Shawn Murphy, but the 88 and 72 have been made during the current session. Total points in the current session, 205 there for Shawn, 168 for John Higgins. So pretty evenly matched there in relation to every single one of those stats. And of course, on a scoreline, you are going to have 2 frames each to be played. Current session average shot time, 23 seconds for Shawn Murphy, 27 seconds for John Higgins as well. And in the meanwhile, we've still got a shot now for Murphy to try and play off the right corner of the table. Current session table time is going to be very much evenly spread, 49% for Higgins, 51% for Shawn Murphy as well. Has he gone for a red into the corner? Well, whether that was a fluke or not, seems like there is going to be a hand of apology to go up, because that surely was unintentional there for Murphy, but it certainly was a brilliant pot there, whether he meant that one or not. And now positioning himself to try and go for the red into the right corner, and you can see there was a hand of apology, so he didn't certainly mean that one to go in. But still, he's certainly going to take it. And now taking that cue ball really nicely around the table and managing to pop the yellow into the right middle as well. It does seem like he's going to come out of this session full of energy, full of belief in himself, and still trying to make it very much down the aggressive style of play, getting 3 points in front. But ultimately, it's 4 frames right now for you to try and extend your lead, at least to 9 frames to 7, of course. I suppose you take the draw as well, as long as you're not going to be the one behind. Oh, that red wobbled in to the right corner, but it's still going to be in. And now just manages to play carefully off the right side cushion to make sure he's still going to be lined up nicely for a shot at the blue to be taken into the left middle. So now 4 points is the advantage here for Shawn, and having a look at the right-hand side of those reds to be available to him, it probably will come down to a good shot there that he's looking for to try and play into the right corner. Once again, a bit of a recap of what we've seen in the first, second and third round matches there. Fang Jingyi, brilliant decider there, where Fang looked like he was going to be, leading the frame and the match for the first time in the entire match out there. In the end, brilliant clearance from Murphy helped on and set him up with Sao Gudon to be met in the second round, as he tries to use plenty of that left middle pocket and still getting himself through to a nice little kiss with those reds to be getting a very clear-cut chance ahead of himself to try and get the red into the right corner and make sure he's going to have a good opportunity to try and take that red away. Be positioned for the black as well. Now a little bit of backspin there as he plays that shot away. The title is going to be taken by the one and only Weezer. Well, that could still be the case, but he can't really focus on Weezer before his match against Mark Cullen is going to kick off. And for now, of course, we have got Shawn Murphy up against John Higgins. Don't know what that was all about. Maybe the lights, maybe the crowd, but certainly something that he wasn't entirely happy with before going and playing the black into the corner. In the end, it's now going to be 17 points on the break, making sure he's still got a chance of taking the red into the left corner. And then at that point onwards, he's going to have a decent chance to try and take the red away over into the left corner as well. For now, playing for the black now, a little bit of topspin to be added. Make sure he's going to be positioned on the right side of the black there. A little bit weird of a shot that he's played, and you can see his facial reaction doesn't tell you that that was intentional. So he's going to actually be a little bit closer to be on the pink here than the black, which is to say, I mean, it's fine in relation to the red that he's got available onto the right corner, but he doesn't really need to be creating any more trouble there for himself. Seems to have played that pink pretty well, and now, of course, the pink will go onto the only spot available, which is going to be the green spot. And Murphy right now is just going to study the reds and their location in relation to the left-hand side of the table. So if he's got a chance to try and go 25 points clear, then it should be a decent opportunity to try and force that red to go into the right corner, still play for the blue to be taken into the left middle as well, and now put it down to 25 points of a lead here for Shawn Murphy. So still very much looking to try and get himself through closer and closer towards that final, because he's probably going to be, 10-6. It's not going to be game over there for Higgins, although I feel like he will probably close to that as well. But at the same time, of course, now you're going to have to make sure at least you guarantee yourself to be the one 9-7 down with taking this frame away, and make sure that whatever it is going to be, you still got a really good chance to try and battle it out in the third session and give yourself the best possible opportunity to try and take this match away from Higgins. Played this shot badly though. Is he going to be able to be on the red? Well, I'll tell you what, it's pretty fortunate there. He didn't get a good contact on the reds. Only one of them has gone away into the left corner, but ultimately, because of how close it is going to be to the left corner, Shawn Murphy's still going to be lined up for this red, and now getting a chance to try and cannon that cue ball to be heading away from the left side cushion and make sure he's got a decent opportunity to try and take the black away into the right corner too. So if he plays the shot with real power, then he'll come down to probably just being, lined up for the blue, being, that's going to be close towards the right middle, and that's going to be way too precise for a shot there. And once again, Murphy just seems like he's going to get stuck on 30 or 40 points every single time there, trying to take the red away. It hasn't worked for him at all. And now, of course, it will come down to a decent opportunity there to have been taken. So 36 points is going to be the end for John Higgins. And at the same time, it will be just 4 points that Higgins gets of that, whilst having 91 points ahead of himself here as well. So ultimately, it doesn't really change anything. As if Murphy played a decent safety shot, though, because it's not quite going to be that decent because he's left the red to be taken with the ball in hand now into the left corner. But it's probably going to be the only red which is available to Higgins, no matter where you put that cue ball at the table. And maybe, one more on the left side cushion, but, the definition of being on the side cushion makes that shot difficult as it is. Now then, just try to take this red away with a long red. He's managed to do that. Is he going to be on the black? Of course he will be. A really nice shot there from John Higgins. And once again, just seems like every single time there is a door open, you're going to have John Higgins to be knocking on the door to try and steal that frame away from you. And now, 31 points behind, trying to get this black into the left corner pocket and make sure he gets himself through to an opportunity to try and get that cue ball to be positioned nicely for the red, as he positioned himself pretty well to take that red away along the black ball cushion, and that's going to be probably one of the biggest issues to be eliminated straight away. And then he'll come down to being alongside the black there, probably as the best case scenario, and trying to hammer that cue ball into 5 more reds to be taken into the right part of it. Oh, has he missed the red? Well, I mean, the red wasn't perfectly onto the black ball cushion, and Higgins will be disappointed with this one, because as I said, that was always going to be the most dangerous red, and the only red probably where it could have gone wrong from the pot success point of view. Now, Murphy's got 24 points of a lead, and he's got a decent opportunity to try and get this one in here. Whilst being pretty much once again alongside the black. Same thing that Higgins was trying to achieve there, but of course having 25 more points than your opponent here, and ultimately only needing a couple more of those reds before he's going to try and take the advantage of 7 frames to 6, and once again be the leading man of this particular showdown. But it seems like, unless he's going to have a plant into the right middle, he's going to be down to just 8 points that he scores. And yeah, still very much anyone's frame for the taking there, or the plant. I mean, that's the type of a shot there to take on, but I probably wouldn't say Murphy's going to be the one looking to try and get himself into something so questionable out there. Although, he may be looking for it here. Is he going to try and play it? He has, but as I said, that plant was always looking. He was going to bounce off the back end jaw, and that's exactly where he played that. And, well, I mean, I thought Murphy's going to have that Peter Ebdon type of coaching to be very much refusing the shot. In the end, it's nice that he's going for aggressive shots there, because it makes the game to be a lot more free-flowing, but it's not really going to be nice for him, because what he basically has done is eliminated one of those reds, got rid of the black, but now he's got pretty much every single one of those reds to be available here for John Higgins, and yeah, it'll be a great opportunity now for John to try and take this one away from Shawn Murphy as well, and make it very much down to him to be the leading man by 7 frames to 6. Once again, you can see the replay, always looking to bounce off that back end jaw, and when you play that shot with power, which was the way for you to try and take that plant away, to make sure, you know, there wasn't going to be any fade or any sort of changes of the trajectory line or anything like this. You know, it probably was down to a shot like that he's played. And well, right now we'll come down to the blue here to be taken, being the lower side of it, so trying to clear potentially 2 more reds away at the top end of the table. May even try and swap the pink with the green here in terms of their colours. Depends on how much of the green can you actually see, because of course he will still need the 6 colour clearance at the end of it to try and make sure that he's going to be winning the frame number 13. Now he's got a chance to try force that red away from the green pocket. Make sure he's certainly going to be playing that with plenty of pocket to be opening up there. Play that well, play that really, really well, because despite, you know, it may seem like that red only just about dropped in, but that clearly was played on purpose, so that he's going to give himself a little bit more angle to try and be positioned for a shot of the blue now. Taken to the left middle, so play this one with a little bit of backspin. Make sure he's got a chance to try and keep that cue ball to be as simple as he can on the remaining couple of reds, before he's going to be very much down to probably the only place where he can go wrong right now. It's probably not a problem, but it's still a place where you probably have to give it a little bit of credit, where, you know, the mistakes can be made. The red, of course, on the left side cushion of the table. For now, it could be down to Higgins trying to get that red eliminated straight away, or he might have a different plan here, where he wants to try and score as many of those points first, and then only then he's going to have that need to try and go for the red away. Now then, just carefully dropping the white to be positioned for the red now. Into the left middle. So finds himself 14 points behind. And ultimately still trying to go for this red into the left middle. Playing this shot with a little bit of backspin once again. Clearly playing for the black. And well, I say a little bit of backspin. He needed a little bit more than that. And based on the pace and also the line there, the cue ball is going to take on the black. I mean, it's the perfect angle for you to try and drop the cue ball in behind the red, but it's not really the perfect angle to try and pot the black there, because it's one of those shots there where you've clearly left it way too high for it to be called a comfortable shot, as he got it, or just about. I mean, that was certainly anything but comfortable, but in the end, the black is going to disappear, and he's going to be perfectly lined up with the red. Well, as I say, the angle to be on the red was there, the angle to spot the black wasn't really there. And now it will come down to a shot here to be played, and just a situation here with those reds to be taking the cue ball here with Higgins, because he's got one that he's about to take, which is a little bit awkward for him to try and reach and put his hand onto the table. Put his leg onto the table, I should say. So looking if he needs the extension, and he may need the rest after all that, which makes the shot a little bit tricky. You know, you can't really control the pot success as much as you can of the normal shot there, where you need to be using the rest. I hope there is no serious inquiry with the amount of pots there are to missing. Very strange. I wouldn't really say that. I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't really say Higgins has been missing anything here today that has been questionable, and you know, not even to that extent that you're talking about, but ultimately just, you know, a bad shot that he's played to Murphy. Listen, the thing about Shawn is that he always seems to come back in the later frames, but ultimately I'll probably say, you know, it's a decent chance there for him to try and establish himself as a leading person, as a leading player here. And ultimately, it's a really good shot there Higgins has played. Once again, taking that red away into the left corner, making sure he's still going to be positioned for the red to be taken at the top end side of the table as soon as he takes the black away into the left corner now. So that will get him 2 points clear of John Higgins and ultimately allow him to try and go for Shawn Murphy. He can't get 2 points clear of himself. But ultimately, it's a very important shot there, as you can feel. Just trying to go for this backward topspin. Make sure that cue ball is going to keep on running to the left side cushion, then to the right. Make sure he misses the middle pocket, and he has done that. Needs a little bit more pace. Needs a little bit more pace than that. And he's just about all right on the reds. He's probably, you know, a centimetre or so lower than the reds, but he's quite far away from it, which should leave him with a nice chance to try and take the red away into the left corner. I mean, the camera is suggesting to take it into the yellow pocket, which is going to be a suicide there as well. Higgins is heavier in this match, but now he certainly seems like he's scoring a lot more consistently there. And of course, when he's got the chance, he always seems to put that one away, as he's done with that red. Taken really nicely there from John, and still going to be lines up for the yellow. So the only place where he has to be slightly concerned about is probably going to be the green. He's about to study that position now. And clearly he's going to be happy with the way that he gets these ones lined up. Positional success for Higgins, 81% so far in the semi-final, 89% in the tournament overall. So it's a bit of a weird stat to show right now, because his positional success has been absolutely brilliant for now during the current break. And, you know, he's got 37 points that he scores during the current visit to the table. And, yeah, ultimately, after such a good chance for Murphy to try and take this frame away and be the player that is leading by 7 frames to 6. Ultimately, it's going to be John Higgins that has got himself in the position where, once again, just like it was in one of the previous frames, you know, pretty sure it was in frame number 11, where he managed to get that blue away with a nice clearance of 72 points. He may have actually been in the 9th frame as well. So I can't quite remember, because he had two very similar frames out there, Higgins, because, you know, Murphy could have won either one of the two of them, but in the end, Higgins managed to win both of them at the same time. Played a bit of a questionable shot here. I mean, whether he couldn't trust his ability to try and hold that cue ball without playing it on the left-hand side of the brown. So this shot now will put Higgins 14 points clear, with having 18 on the table. So he still needs to be taking the blue after the brown. So massive 2 shots there for John Higgins. Try and take the brown away into the green pocket, and then position himself nicely to be taking the blue away as well. Now, has he got the chance to try and make this one right? And the answer is, we'll have to wait and see out there. For now, he's still getting himself to try and test out a different extension here. He's putting 2 extensions on the same cue there, which just tells you that how far away he's going to have to try and reach here to try and get through to the brown. Probably doing that with, well, he tried to do that without the rest, which is, I mean, look at how long the bridge is going to be for him. I mean, surely that is not the way for you to be playing a shot like that, and Murphy will fancy his chances. Wow, that's a really good shot there on the brown, especially how difficult he made life for himself there on the previous shot, and now he will be down to 18 points of the lead after the blue, of course, is being taken. Will be taken down to 19 points. And it will be very much frame over to you, John Higgins. And once again, he's done it again, where Murphy had an opening chance to try and put the match away, to try and put the frame away here. He hasn't managed to utilise those opportunities so far. And another break of 50 plus there by John Higgins. We've seen plenty of those so far during the current session, and he's going to be the break of 57 points. He's not going to bother about the black, so he will be down to, once again, Higgins managing to find that really good break at the end. Shawn Murphy wasn't able to take his advantage over to the frame to be his for the taking, and now it is going to be John Higgins that has got the lead of 7 frames over 6. And once again, Murphy is going to find himself in a position where he's basically replicating Zhao's Tom for now, where Zhao was sort of struggling to try and get himself back to the position where, he was going to be a real threat to try and get in the lead. So far, I would say Shawn is probably having a very similar type of a struggle there. Although it's still pretty much early days, and we've got 3 more frames to see, and then at that stage we'll be able to make a lot more heavy of conclusions in relation to whether Murphy managed to come back at the end of it, or, it was sort of down to a bit of a different situation for him to try and find himself to be a part of. In the meanwhile, we're about to get the reds and the colours to be re-racked, and we'll certainly come back down to a decent opportunity here to be taken from the break-off shot. Once again, we've seen plenty of those to be left from John Higgins' point of view, not so many of them to be left by Shawn Murphy as well. And for now, it's going to be very interesting to see the way that inevitably, of course, Murphy will have to try and step up his game to make sure he plays better, to make sure he plays more consistent, to make sure his short selection is going to be better as well, and ultimately, and the most important factor, make sure he's actually going to have the ability to try and get over the finish line a lot more consistently as well. For now, though, it is John Higgins that so far has been certainly known for conceding a chance away from his break-off shot. So let's see what's going to happen now. Is it going to be the same story, or is he going to be able to put that cue ball and majority of those reds to be safe? He's got one of them to be heading very close to the left middle, and well, just exactly what I said to you, and this is going to be by far the worst break-off that we've seen. The red is going to be visible, the cue ball is not going to be tied to the cushion, and that will be down to Shawn Murphy having a decent chance to try and take this one with an early chance once again out there. Trying to make it down to the red to be taken into the left corner, and ultimately put himself to be very much in the position of trying to take this frame away from John Higgins, which probably earlier on to be saying that, but at the same time probably have to put it down to a decent opportunity that we can see ahead of Shawn Murphy. And ultimately it will, as I say, come down to a really good shot that he's taken on the reds. Still going to be positioned nicely for the brown or green to be taken, so whichever one of those you want to try and test the skills with. For now, it should be very much down to a decent chance to try and take this one away. So on the brown, try and position that cue ball to be on the left-hand side of those reds. And he's done that well once again. So once again, you can see 5 out of 7 breaks where the attempt was conceded there from Higgins. Let it be draw. Well, don't know why you would be rooting for a draw, though. It's a little bit weird. I mean, I get that from the neutral's point of view, but, we want to just try and make sure that the match is going to go the distance, but you're not really going to get the match going the distance after just 2 sessions. You're going to have to see that in session 3 and 4. So for now, Murphy's certainly trying to make a couple of his own fans happy, but as we've seen that story before, and every single time we've seen it, Murphy just wasn't able to get himself over that finish line, and now positioning for 21 points of a lead as soon as he takes the black away. And then he'll be down to, once again, a great chance for Murphy to try and get into those reds as soon as he possibly can, whilst trying to control it, and make it down to the cue ball to be working out perfectly well for him. So 21 points of a lead, as I say. Now he's managing to put himself pretty much alongside the red to be taken into the corner, and trying to get a couple of those reds to be taken into the right corner. Now, once again, it's a good shot there by Shawn in terms of he managed to get one of those reds to be in the open play, but yeah, he managed to get it a bit of a triangle out of those reds, especially on the left-hand side and the bottom of it, but it's very difficult for you to try and have any more of those reds to be available. Now, just trying to naturally create an angle on the reds to be taken after the black is going to disappear, and he's played that shot pretty well, although he's probably about to be a little bit too straight here. You're going to suggest that he's played the shot a little bit too well. And again, well, listen, that's the way that he goes. But listen, the thing about Murphy is that if he was down to Higgins, has he overplayed this one? Has he overplayed this one? He has. So what's he going to have to try and do here? The cue ball got out of hand. So he clearly struck that one too well because he was playing for the blue to try and take that cue ball there. But you can see they're just watching the cue ball go over the blue ball line and then go over the blue ball line over the bulk line as well. And now it's just going to be a shot in behind the green. So 30 points is the lead here for Shawn Murphy. And then he'll come back down to a chance here for John Higgins to get back to the table. Whether it's going to be down to a chance where he's going to have an opportunity to try and play that cue ball off the right side cushion. I'll have to wait and see on that one. So once again trying to do that off two cushions. And as long as he judged the pace well, it should be a risk-free shot that he's taken. And yeah, he's judged the pace really, really well. Now we're still getting a bit of a, as I say, triangle box there of those reds to be available. And in the end, it will come down to Shawn Murphy here to try and take this one away. We'll probably play that cue ball on towards the right side here. Make sure he's got a decent opportunity to try and, as I say, make things right there for himself. I mean, maybe just trying to get that cue ball away from those reds is going to be a helping hand in itself. Because if he puts it wide towards the right side cushion, I mean, it doesn't really leave Higgins anything anyway. Like, it's just down to trying to get a bonus where you're not going to have, not only you're not going to have anything available for your opponent, but at the same time, you're going to find him to be in a little bit of trouble. So then Murphy just looking to try and go for the shred away, trying to put that one past the green and the brown. And the line looks good. Is the pace going to be there as well? Not quite. And unfortunately, he's managed to cover up the left-hand side of those reds, but the right side for Murphy is still going to be quite open there for Higgins to try and take. And in the end, well, he's looking at the plan there potentially, which is interesting because it doesn't seem like he's looking anywhere near the pocket as well. Murphy won't win this match if he keeps breaking down on 30-odd points. Yeah, true. Absolutely true. But for now, as I say, he's been playing catch-up ever since the starting point of this session. And is he going to be playing catch-up for one more frame? Because if he can get himself through to 8-6 of a lead, then of course he's guaranteed not to be losing heading into session number 3. For now, thinking about that plant, and whatever that plant was to him, he certainly didn't manage to get anything out of it. And now he's still going to leave the left-hand side now to be available for Shawn Murphy to try and play a safety shot from. So now Murphy just having a look at those reds to be available. I feel like probably from the left-hand side of it, it'll probably come down to a shot for the red to be taken onto the left side and make sure he gets that cue ball to be rolling towards the right side cushion as well. Now it's a really nice line there to try and get this one in behind the brown, and in the end Murphy once again just being the better player of those safeties. And in the end, if it's going to be very much the blue that covers up the entirety of those reds, you don't really have the position where you had the luxury of just trying to roll up to the reds, which were, all parts of a great triangle there. Now, you're going to have to try and get those to be spread out very carefully. Unless that is the case, you're going to be risking quite badly of leaving a chance away for your opponent. Will this match finish today or tomorrow? It should finish tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, because, the second session is going to be played in the evening. So which means either the third one, and then the finale is going to be coming down to very much session number 4, which is going to be tomorrow in the afternoon, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, of course, unless, we're going to have Higgins to win 10 more frames with Murphy only winning 1 more, or Murphy to win 11 more frames and finish the semi-final with a session to spare, which we have seen beforehand. It'll still feel like, this cue ball is going to keep on running towards the right side cushion and tries to find the contact with any of the, reds. And, well, I'm not sure whether he was going to find contact with the pink of those reds, but in the end, he doesn't find contact with any of those. So 34 points right now. They are playing tonight at 8 p.m. mainland. Yes, that's true. And then the match will finish tomorrow in the afternoon session as well. Thank you for the person. Yes, there you go. There you go. You've got the main person in the chat there as well. 34 points of a lead once again, as you can see. And we are going to have a good chance now for John Higgins to try and get himself out of a snooker situation here for the second time. Make sure he's going to have the chance of playing that cue ball off the right side cushion. And let's see if he got the chance here to try and take that one away. And he's played that shot well. He's played that one really, really well. And yeah, he's managed to probably avoid the touch and ball, although the referee suggests otherwise. So he'll be down to 34 points of a lead. And yeah, very much back down to a shot here to be taken away from those reds. And yeah, he will come down to the cue ball to be sent towards the top hand side of it as well. And now, a chance for Higgins to find himself being snookered again, because a touch and ball, of course, is the worst case scenario for you. If you're going to try and get that cue ball to be very much in behind the yellow or brown, you will be very much down to it as well. So, Murphy's got such an important couple of shots there to try and play, because he needs one more chance there. Of course, the fact that he's unable to finish off those breaks with 34, 47 points that he keeps on scoring out there, it just seems like he will come down to a shot in behind the yellow. The cue ball is not going to be tied up perfectly well, so it does leave a chance there for Higgins to try and take this one very carefully on the left side, and then he'll very much come down to a red to be taken into the right corner. Final on Sunday and Monday, yes, that's certainly going to be the case. So it should be very much 2 sessions, one at 1 p.m, one at 7 p.m, and then same on Monday on bank holiday as well in the UK. Yes, well, it's a bit of a risky shot there from Higgins that he's taken, trying to make sure the black is now going to be not too close towards the right corner, as he nearly potted that one, as well as going for a plant of those reds to be taken into the right corner. I have a lot of meetings on Monday. Well, it's a bit of a shame, that one, but at the same time, you probably have to say he will be down to a decent opportunity to try and, you know, squeeze one of those sessions in. But listen, it's going to depend on what the lineup is going to be. It's going to depend on how far the final is actually going to go there, because he always got the chance of trying to finish the final with a session to spare. And then, yeah, we just have to wait and see on how that one is going to go, because Murphy, he needs that big cannon on the brown. He's got it, but is that still going to be forcing him to try and take this shot safe enough so that Higgins can't do anything with the red to be taken into the left corner? I mean, time and time again, it seemed like this has been the story of the match there. Murphy's got a point of 40, and then Higgins comes away with a long shot available to him. He takes it first time all the time, and then Murphy just has to find himself to be sat in his seat until the end point of the frame once again. So just looking to try and go for this red now into the left corner, play the shot with plenty of topspin behind it, and then try and make sure he's going to have a chance of playing that cue ball away from the red, still being on the colours, and he will be down to a good shot that he's played, and he's going to be on the black there, not even down to the bow colours. So it's a perfect opportunity now for John Higgins to make an awful lot of things right. And yeah, he's played that shot really, really well in relation to how well he's landed on the black as well. Now he's got a really nice chance to try and, as I say, take this one away and make sure he will come down to a decent opportunity of trying to go for the red into the right corner as well. Make sure he's still going to have enough availability here on the reds that he's got ahead of himself available. And probably ultimately as well, you have to put this one down to a factor of not really having so much to try and win here in relation to the way for him to try and take this one away. But at the end stage, he still needs to try and take every single one of those frames away from Shawn Murphy and make sure that he will come down to just being clinical with the opportunity that he's got ahead of himself. As he's now about to take the black and the red, one more combination that he's taken. Final is best of how many frames? It's best of 35, first of 18. So that's going to be played across 2 days, but of course when you've got a one-table format and you've got 2 matches to be played at the same time, that 35 is correct. Very much correct on that one. So yeah, once again, an important shot now for Higgins to try and take with the black and trying to get that cue ball to be getting closer towards those reds, and he's played that shot really, really well. I mean, the thing about this break for Higgins, he only finds himself to be 18 points behind right now, but ultimately, he's got so many of those reds where, you know, you take one of them away, and inevitably, you'll have a couple more to be available as well. And if you do that step by step, all of a sudden, not only will you find yourself ahead, but ultimately with a good chance of trying to take that one away and make it to see those points to be disappearing very much in his corner of the table. And, well, for now, he decided to try and play for the pink to be taken into the left corner, which, I mean, probably is going to be a sign of trying to remove the pink here. Make sure he's going to have a chance of playing for the reds into the right corner. I was thinking 50 now, that's going to be way too much there for you. Because if you're going to try and take best of 50 there, hope Shawn improves. Yeah, you feel like it's a bit of a Zhao Xington special there, because he's not playing badly there, but he's not playing wonderful snooker there. And the problem is, there's always going to be someone like Shawn Murphy against Zhao Xington, which was able to just play better than you. And even though Xington had some good snooker that he's produced, even though that wasn't enough. And in the end stage, 13-10 was very much fair of a scoreline. It's best of 35, first to 18 frames in the final. Yes, so 2 more than the semis, but ultimately because of only having one of those matches as a final, it will come down to a shot to be taken, and just only 2 of those days to host the final there, in Monday and Sunday. Once again, whether that was done on purpose there by Higgins, seems to have left himself with a bit of a wide shot now on the yellow to try and take into its own pocket. Make sure he's still going to have a red to be taken into the left part of the table. And I tell you what, that one is actually going to do a massive job there for Higgins, because he'll have 4 more reds available. But at the same time, I feel like he'll probably be able to get through to each one of them very much step by step there as well. Trying to go for that yellow into its own pocket. Make sure he's going to have a chance to try and play for that red into the right corner as well. And now he will come down to a chance here to be taking the red away into the right corner. Make sure he'll certainly be down to playing the shot through those reds. It's a massive, massive moment here for Higgins. He needs this red to go into the corner. He has done that. Is he going to be on the block? Of course he will be. And what's the situation with the remaining 5 reds here? It's not too bad at all. And ultimately, with points, I want to believe in Wood too. Same. One thing about this match is I don't really have a horse in the race at all. But when it comes to Weezer, I really do want him to feature in the final to try and make it down to experience and a former champion against someone as young and as prospering of a talent as Weezer, of course. And he was given 3 years to try and become the world champion. He might have to try and do that in the same year that was predicted. And after having a bit of a quieter second part of the season, losing out in a couple of first-round matches, he's now going to be through to the semi-finals and having a 6-2 gap over Mark Cullen as well. Now Higgins is about to take the red away into the left corner. Make sure he's not going to be too close to that middle. He's still going to be nicely top side of a blue here as he finds himself in the top side of it. Paul Allen, well, listen, he's lost to Selby, he's lost to Higgins, and he's found himself 6-2 behind against Weezer as well. But, it's going to be very much possible for him to try and overturn that. Whether he will do so or not, we'll have to wait and see. For now, once again, it's a chance there, and it's a big target point for Higgins to try and go for the reds onto the right corner. That he's going to be able to try and pot there at the same time. But you will be, as I called previously, a very important point in relation to the way he's tried to take it into those reds. And has he worked out? I'll tell you what, he certainly hasn't worked out badly at all. Because even though he pushed the black onto the black cushion, he's still going to have a very natural angle to try and get on the black right now. And that will leave him with very little to do there at the end, as he now scores 40 points on the current visit to the table, still having a red to be available into the left corner as well. 2 more, which are not going to be any more of an issue, and he's got 1 more to be pretty much alongside the black cushion. But that is probably going to have to be, either you can try and save that one till last, or you can try and take this one now, because you're still going to need that red anyway. And so you may as well take it now, so you get a natural angle to try and play for the black, and basically kill 2 birds with 1 stone, where you've got a dangerous red, which could cause you a little bit of trouble, taken out of the table, and at the same time, you've got a really nice line to try and take it back onto the black there. And Wood and Higgins has played each other this year and we won. Not sure about that course, pure memory. Yes, absolutely, that was in the final. The only final that Weezer managed to win this season, and one of a few that John Higgins has lost so far this season. That was in Nanjing, in the International Championship, where Higgins managed to beat Shawn Murphy, by the way, in the quarterfinals. Managed to beat Steve Maguire in a semi-final appearance as well. And ultimately was just a little bit, weak at the end in the final to Weezer. And Wu was able to take it away from Higgins at that stage of that particular performance. For now, as I say, it will be down to 22 points of a lead here for John Higgins. And once again, He will be disappointing for Shawn Murphy because his opponent is now going to be only 4 shots away from making it down to 8-6 to be the reality. And that sequence of, having you take 1 frame, I take 1 frame is about to end here, because ever since 4-all, that was very much the case. Ever since 3-all, that was very much the case. But now, as I say, it's down to 3 last shots there for John Higgins to try and take a lead here, and extend it, of course, by 8 frames to 6. So it's still going to be a very nervous couple of moments there for him, because it's a very key moment in his session. As I say, for the first time since that 4 frame, we're going to have any one of the players to take more than 1 frame of a lead, and that was the only point that happened in the match as well. Now, can Higgins finish the job here? He needs the red, and then that will leave Murphy with 27 points at the table, whilst having a gap of 31 points. As I said, he still wants to get the black in for it to be joint highest break of the of the entire match for him. Unfortunately, can't quite make a century break out of it, but ultimately it wasn't something that he could actually control there too much. You're going to be able to make a break of 99 points exactly, if there is to be a total clearance to be on the line. But once again, this shot was the problem for Murphy, and just not able to get on the colour. Clearly was playing for the blue to try and split the reds away from each other. In the end, that was something that Higgins had to be doing later on. And now he's on a break of 74 points and counting. So Higgins is now taking the lead in both the match and then the poll. 54% to 46 in favour of John Higgins as well. And now looking to try and stay on the brown here to be taken into the yellow pocket. So try and play this cue ball through the brown carefully well. Make sure you're going to have yourself position on the lower side of a blue to try and take it down to the pink, which, even though it's a bit of a rare break of 99 points, and you don't see that one to be made very, very often, especially in the semi-final of the Crucible, but at the same time, it's still going to be a very nice number out there to have 100 points exactly of a break, to being the highest in the match, and then the second highest to be 99 points there from Higgins, although he's got other plans, and he's going to have the cue ball to be potted instead of the pink, so you will be down to 6 points of a foul for Shawn Murphy, but ultimately still a really nice break of 86 points, and that leaves John Higgins to be very much the man trying to become the player that takes a 10-6 of a lead there. It's still possible. It's not beyond the realms of possibility for Higgins to try and win the remaining 2 frames and very much take it down to 10-6 of the advantage and put Murphy in all sorts of trouble out there. For now, of course, it's still going to be very much all to play for in relation to Shawn Murphy and John Higgins as well, as Higgins is about to find himself very much in a comfortable position of trying to take this one away there and get himself through to a gap of, as I say, 8 frames to 6. So very interesting there to see if that is going to be very much the tendency until the end point. For now, it does seem to be the case, but we're still going to have to wait and see on what's actually going to happen a little bit later on out there, because we've seen those comebacks to be made by, the likes of John Higgins. We've seen the likes of Shawn Murphy to try and have a similar sort of comebacks as well, but at the end point, he will be very much down to whether he's going to be more consistent. And for now, you probably have to put this one down to John Higgins just taking the edge there, ultimately doing that with the scoreboard as well. I mean, look at the way that he was able to take that 9 frame away with clearance once again around, Murphy's break of 57 points or something. He's done similar sort of thing in the 11 frame. Certainly he's done that in the, in the 13 frame, and now 14 frame. I mean, it just seems like Murphy's going for the same cycle over and over again, where he loses a frame constantly because of the same mistake. But the only problem for Murphy is that he does that on so many different occasions. He just has to be clinical, man. And the thing about it is that he has to be clinical now. He can't leave it down to the 3rd session, because Higgins can leave it down to the 3rd session now, because he's got himself 8 frames, which is probably going to be the minimum that you're going to be sort of like, well, I'm not going to say I'm satisfied with it, but at the same time, it's not quite as bad, because it's still going to be very much down to a race to 9 frames here. But Murphy needs to make sure he actually gets himself down to 8 frames, and if he does, I'd say he's done pretty well to himself to try and find himself in that position. For now, it's a break-off shot, which, on this occasion, it may actually not be that perfect there from Murphy, and it may have left a chance here for John to try and take the red away into the left corner. I mean, the black is going to be out of position, as it always is, after those trademark shots there by Murphy. But at the end stage, he's not going to have too many of those reds to leave there from Shawn. So he's trying to cue this red. Just make sure he missed that front jaw. And then you should be sweetly lined up for the black. Well, I mean, to be fair, I did ask about missing the front jaw, and he has missed that one. Just caught a little bit too much of the back end jaw there. So at the end, he's going to have that red to cannon the black into the open play. But at the same time, he's not going to have the red to be available to be taken to himself there. But of course, Shawn Murphy will have that. And now he's got a red to be taken into the right corner. So once again, I'm not sure if that's going to be an advantage at this stage, because Murphy seems like he's going to get their first chance in every single one of those frames. But the problem is, how many of them has he actually managed to close away and, well, crown himself to be the winner during those couple of frames? For now, certainly not the previous one or the one before that either. But you have to try and break the cycle, and you have to try and do that now. He's got the chance to try and take the blue now in towards the left middle with that little bit of topspin on the cue ball to try and make sure he's going to pass his way and get around the yellow and brown here to be taken down the lower part of the table again. So once again, loads of topspin. Make sure he avoids the contact on the yellow, which he hasn't done. So if the cue ball is going to drop in towards the left middle and join the blue, well, it doesn't seem to be the case. But once again, I mean, he could have jawed himself anyway, but even if he hasn't jawed himself on the shot into the left corner, then he just left him with such a nasty shot to be taking on after such a harmless blue that he was taking. And even though it was a minor touch on the yellow, the cue ball should have been anywhere near the cheapest of those colours. And right now, we'll leave Murphy to have a very interesting shot now ahead of himself. Response success 89%, but I'll tell you what, 89%... certainly is not going to be a stat for this type of a shot. It's going to be down to something like 20%, and this is what I said about it. It's very rarely you see those shots to go in, and that red is going to bounce away and go all the way to finish over the right corner. Unless the yellow is going to be getting in the way, Murphy is going to have to end the break very soon for him, and he may have to earn his chances for trying to get back to a comfortable position in this frame as well, because the yellow is going to be in the way. So Higgins is going to try and swerve around the yellow here to make sure he's going to be getting a nice straight line on the cue ball at the end. So he got that one in. He's stunned the cue ball, and has he managed to find a gap to be taking the black away, because it's close and it's difficult to say how important that shot is going to be to John Higgins. Try again, Shawn. Well, he's going to have to try again a little bit later on. But although I thought he was actually on the black, it seemed like he's just about going to come up short. That's unfortunate there for Higgins because of how close he was, but at the end, yeah, he wasn't close enough to the blue, and he's just going to try and make it down to a safety shot to be played on the green and roll that cue ball to be heading to the top side of the table again. So Higgins just trying to take a bit more of a commanding lead here by 4 frames to 4. Of course, we've started with, and now it will come down to 55% of you thinking that it will be very much down to Higgins to try and take this session away. Now just having a look at the right hand side of the table here available to the cue ball. See if he's going to try and go for the reds to be taken into the right corner. Seems to have played that well. And is he going to have that cue ball to keep on running towards the blue here on the left hand side of it? And I tell you what, he has to play that shot badly at all. And Murphy is still going to find himself in a pretty comfortable position here, because he's the one leading by 5 points. Not that it matters, but anyway. And now he's going to have a decent safety shot in hand as well over John Higgins. The remaining 2 frames for us to be seeing out there as well. So then just a couple of more shots there, you feel like, from Higgins, and he could find himself to try and develop the position further to try and get it down to very much the next opportunity wins the frame there. Or, of course, could very much, I don't know what that line, by the way, is suggesting to try and achieve there. Because if he's going to have a line like that, then he needs to try and hit those reds so thin on the edge. But hitting them so thin on the edge will inevitably lose out on the contact point with the cue ball. Well, that was fortunate there from Higgins. And that was anything but lucky there for Shawn Murphy there. Because, I mean, Higgins played a bad shot there. Tried to catch the red very thin on the edge. Caught that one way too thick. And in the end, cannoned one of those reds to be heading towards the right corner. So now Murphy would have fancied his chances to try and come back to the table whilst having something available to him, but not only does he not have that, but also he's going to have that cue ball to be alongside the top edge of the D. So not quite the outcome that he wanted to see, especially after the misjudgment from John Higgins on the previous shot. Now Murphy's going to be the player, just looking to try and make sure he doesn't put a red over the corner pocket, and he's done that, but has he got cover? He seemed like he will certainly get cover here, but the problem is, you know, it doesn't just come down to one red that he's trying to cover up, and the red that he's actually covered up with may also be possible into the left corner, and big fan of Murphy. But now it's not going too well for you here, because Higgins is going to look to try and go for the kill now. Of course, he's not going to sense any mercy, and just because, you know, he's got that 8 frames of the count next to his name doesn't mean anything, and he's still going to try and make it down to a number 10 before the start of the next session. But, well, this is going to be on another shot there, and surely he's not going to be able to get away with this one again. I mean, he's sort of done that, you know, to an extent. He's missed one of those reds by a mile, and yeah, he's missed that one way to the side cushion, so that certainly wasn't the way that Higgins was trying to play that shot. But in the end, once again, just doesn't seem like he's left anything easier way to Shawn Murphy. And yeah, potentially going for the reds into the left corner pocket, potentially into the yellow pocket as well. But now trying to go for this red into the right corner here, and well, he's gone for it, and he's missed it. Now, where's he going to put that red away? He's going to put it somewhat safe, although at the same time, you know, he was playing for that blue, which is always going to leave that cue ball to be closely lined up to those reds down the lower end of the table. And it seems like the one which is going to be pretty much alongside the paint right now, and probably the lowest of the entire pack there, probably going to be possible into the corner. It certainly is from this angle, but whether Higgins can get through to this red is going to be a bit of another issue as well. Seems like he can. Once again, so many chances for Higgins. And this one surely is going to be a lot better than the long shot that he had available, but still not good enough. And it's a red that he misses by a long margin, and that will still leave that cue ball to be very much in a similar position to what he was previously, and put it back down to Shawn Murphy to try and take it away here, because he's just not able to go for those reds to be taken into the yellow pocket, making sure he goes for a shot into the corner pocket now. So 4.5 hours of match time there in relation to those 2 sessions, which is not too bad. I suppose if you're going to be somewhat close to 5 hours based off 2 sessions counts, it's not going to be too bad at all, as I say. And now Murphy, surely it was just a matter of time until he was finally able to put at least one of those reds away. And now he's getting himself through to a chance here to try and go for a shot on the pink or the black here. He's got a choice selection of those colours. Probably wants to try and keep that black where it is to make sure he cleans the black ball spot first, and then, you know, there's going to be a lot more sense to try and put the black to be on its own spot. But Murphy's got other plans about it. He's about to take the black now, which, I mean, once again, a bit of a questionable decision there to me, because he didn't really have too many of those reds to try and pot into that corner, which were blocked off by the black. And now, as I say, I mean, he's going to have a look whether the black goes into the right corner, which it may do, but he certainly won't go anywhere near the left corner, which is going to create a problem there for Shawn Murphy. So just trying to take the red away into the right corner. And once again, I mean, so many chances that we've seen from Shawn previously, and now this one surely going to be one of the best ones that we have seen from him in relation to the way that he's got those reds to be lined up, and also he's going to have a decent colour choice at the same time of it as well. So even though, of course, you have to say it will be down to a bit of a problem for him to try and mess up the position like that at the end stage. We have seen that done before, and now he's going to be having 21 points of the lead. Still looking to try and go for the red into the right corner and position himself nicely to be taking a shot here, top side of a blue. Trying to take this one away and make sure he's going to have 26 points of a lead, whilst having so many reds ahead of himself and available as well. So the pink has gone to the green spot, which might actually be a helping hand there for Murphy. But once again, it does come to, a lot of those things do come down to whether the black goes into the right corner. Because if it does, sweet, then he's got no issues, then he's got no problems, and he's going to have a really nice chance to try and make it the easiest break of the ones that we've seen. Have a good night. Higgins will win 17-14. Yeah, for now I'd probably say he's trying to do that in terms of try and get some sort of advantage to carry into the second session, which, I mean, with the way that Murphy's played, especially with his ability to try and create chances out of nothing, you probably take 8 all out of this one. But you can see frames 1 to 11, you know, from Shawn Murphy, it was down to average shot time of 23 seconds in the latest 4 frames. This one included, it's been up to 26 seconds right now on average. So clearly a bit of a slow down in pace there from Shawn. See you tonight for next session. First night over there. And yeah, it will be down to the afternoon session, Letitia, because it will be down to Weezer against Mark Cullen. And then we'll continue the match tomorrow with 2 more sessions to play. So it's very much going to be down to Shawn Murphy now to try and play the shot through the shot on the blue and get himself through to a chance of being on the blue now, trying to be on the top side of it. Well, may have overplayed this one slightly, so may have to just try and go for the paint to be taken into the green pocket and make sure he's going to have a chance of the red to be passed into the yellow pocket as well. But now just getting that cute. What happened there? I just avoided in the frame, unfortunately. Well, that was a little bit premature. You can see I'm a little bit biased on that one, but misclicked, and instead of pressing 6, I pressed F out there, which of course means assigning a frame to one of the players, which is still going to be a really nice sign there for Shawn to try and take it away there. Because now 41 points is his lead. He's got 1 more red to be taken into the yellow pocket. And then that will be very much clearing the top end side of those reds. In relation to the ball colours, it's still going to have the yellow and the green to be slightly further away from their usual surroundings as usual. Just trying to play that shot through the cue ball. Make sure he's still going to be very much nicely lined up for the blue to be taken now into the right middle as well. 42 points of a lead. Now trying to go for the shot on the blue and getting himself through to a decent opportunity to try and take this one away. But it will come down to something like this. We'll have to wait and see. That's exactly what Shawn needs going into the interval. Well, he needs to try and get at least one of those frames in, because if he goes down into the next session being 10-6 down, I mean, that is going to be anything but comfortable for him, especially doing that since being, you know, 6 frames each before that intermission. So I want Murphy to win. I have to wait and see if that's going to happen, because for now he's looking not too bad for this particular frame, although he still needs a couple of more of those shots to be done. And yeah, a little bit of top spin there to be done on the cue ball. Carefully plays the shot for the red to be taken, but has he overplayed for it? I'll tell you what, he's not going to be a happy man if he has overplayed for it, and to me, he's not going to have a chance. Well, that's tight. That's very, very tight, and the little shake of the head there by Murphy probably suggesting that it will be, once again, 47 points of the advantage. I mean, it does seem like Murphy does it every single time again. I mean, well, what can he do here? Can he try and go for the red all the way around the black ball cushion and still try and keep this break going for him? He's gone for it, and he's made this one in. Brilliant take in there by Shawn Murphy, and he's actually going to be on a couple of colours to choose from, whether the brown goes into the left middle or not. I have to wait and see, but that was a brilliant red, nicely cut into the corner, and now he will be down to a shot now to be taken for the brown onto the left side of the table, whether you want to try and put that colour safe or all that cue ball to be in behind either one of those colours as well. And just thinking maybe he's going to have to find a position where it'll be difficult for Higgins to try and you know, either find himself out of a snooker situation or of course try and just put that cue ball to be safe. So he's managed to put the brown to be somewhat safe, certainly in relation to its usual spot there. And so then 43 points of a break, 48 points of the advantage here for Murphy, 67 at the table. This probably is going to be the best chance for him to try and take this frame away from John Higgins, but at the same time, probably still have to say that it won't be quite as comfortable there for John Higgins or Shawn Murphy to try and take it away here. Highest break of 12, well, the break, that's a bit of a weird stat that is, because the frames 1 to 11, the highest break of 100 points. Yeah, but he achieved that in the 4th frame. I mean, what a rubbish start that is, because yes, he hasn't had a century break in the in frames 12 and 15, but neither he had a century break in, you know, any frame starting from that 4th one. Murphy, most frames played first, but not out. Yeah, but the thing about it is that he was always in there with the first chance, and yet he wasn't really in there with a chance that was able to be closed up with the first time. Now, he's got a really good long red that he's taken nicely into the corner, and Murphy's still going to have that long pot unleashed there for him. So, now it takes it 49 points of a deficit. So, if he takes one more colour and red, That'll be very much frame over there, barring snookers. And that will leave it down to Shawn Murphy to try and take this one away. So just have a look to see on what's going to be the situation with the green and yellow here. I mean, in relation to the long pot success, he's had 8 out of 13 shots that he's managed to pot into the previous session. And this time around, of course, he's managed to get as far as 67%. So hasn't played this one too close to the blue, but once again, getting that green to be out of position, making the situation and life a lot more difficult there for John Higgins. And trying to, as I say, get 2 more reds in. And then at that stage, he'll certainly come down to a nice opportunity to try and, as I say, make things right there for himself. So just has a look there, John, to has a little wonder to see on what's going to be happening here with those reds to be taken. But probably it's going to be down to the red to be placed on the black ball cushion. Try and get that one to the right side and ultimately just get that one to be replaced by the cue ball, basically. And put the white to be safe on the black ball cushion whilst trying to hammer that red towards the bulk cushion at the same time. Well, it's an interesting short selection from Higgins, but he didn't want a contact on the blue there to be made. He's put the blue out of position, which doesn't help him either, but ultimately he has left a chance for Murphy. And at this stage for Shawn, you have to take anything that comes your way. And if you're going to be able to take, 2 of those reds away, that's certainly going to be very much great news for you. And he's got a really nice chance to try and take this red away. As I say, that'll get it down to just 59 points at the table and ultimately allow himself to be very much in charge of the position even more. There's not going to be loads of pressure on this shot, and he's played that one really well. As long as he managed to hold that cue ball for the yellow, seemed like he's done that, even though he wasn't comfortable, but seems to have done that just about well. Still then, as I say, 1 more red, and then he'll come down to snookers needed for John Higgins. So just carefully try and take the yellow away into the green pocket. It hasn't worked out though. So you'll certainly come back to Higgins having the turn. And probably having a red to be available onto the black ball cushion again. So Murphy's not going to be too happy with the way he's finished that particular break. But still getting himself to 50 points ahead of John Higgins. And ultimately with both colours to be so far away from each other. The blue to be out of position as well. Higgins feels like he probably needs to go for this red now into the right corner pocket. Has he played that one well enough? He has. So just try and get started here. And then you'll be able to do something else in relation to the reds that you have got ahead of yourself. So Murphy seems like he's got a little bit of a bad neck there or something. Or maybe not feeling 100%. But just trying to go for the black now into the left corner. Make sure he's going to try and take that pace away. And he seems like he's taken a bit of too much of the angle away. And of course, that now leaves him with 51 points in behind in relation to 49 points is the difference. And 51 points are very much to be left at the table. The only good thing for Higgins is that he was playing for that black to obviously drop into the corner pocket. And since he hasn't done that, now he's going to be able to cover up that pocket with the red not to be available here for John. And, of course, for Shawn Murphy as well. And Murphy's about to just try and take this one away onto the left side rail. Make sure the cue ball is going to have plenty of power behind it. All he needs to do is to make sure that he's got that red to be covered up on the left side cushion. And he seems to have done that pretty well whilst using the brown to his helping hands. And just having a look for those reds to be taken here in favour of John Higgins as he's looking to try and play one in towards probably the top side of the table. And now in the end he was able to find a really thin contact, but doesn't want that cue ball to be anywhere near the yellow pocket. And in the end he will be perfectly into the yellow pocket. So now it does make the mission impossible pretty much unbearable there for Higgins, because now it's 55 place 2, which means that it's now 53 points of a lead for Shawn Murphy, and Higgins officially does need snookers. So it does look like it will come down to 8-7 here in favour of John Higgins, but at the same time it will be a very interesting 16 frame to see on what is going to be the final scoreline. Is it going to come down to Shawn Murphy being a little bit too strong at the end of the session and make it very much down to 8 frames all? Or is it going to be Higgins to try and step up his game once again? And remember, he was 7-9 down every single time he was playing against either Robertson or O'Sullivan. He's managed to win the match against Robertson by 30 frames to 10, which was super impressive for him. And of course, his match against Ronnie was going the distance, but it was still very much down to Higgins to have the final say in that decider. So for now, it doesn't seem like he's going to have a lot to say in this particular frame, as the situation that he finds himself is going to be very difficult to try and get out of. But he's going to try, and just tries to get that cue ball to be running towards the yellow here. It's a decent line, but he's not going to have the power to reach beyond the yellow. So gives the turn once again back towards Shawn Murphy here, and trying to play those reds away from the black ball cushion. I mean, even potentially thinking about, if he tries to hit that red very thin on the edge, he may leave a chance away for Higgins to try and, get that red into the corner pocket off the black, but he hasn't done that. He's gone for another short selection, and he's managed to play that shot pretty well in relation to sort of blocking all those opportunities there for Higgins, apart from a cross double to be taken towards the right corner, and doesn't want it to be anywhere near the pocket, and doesn't want the red to cannon all the way to the right part of the table either. And he's sort of gone all the way to the left there, sort of backwards, from where he's sort of cannoned onto the right side cushion as well. So still, it's now going to be back down to Murphy here. And having a look at the situation with those reds is going to be difficult for him, but of course it's going to be difficult for anyone that finds himself close to the yellow pocket now, with a cue ball to try and play with the top side. Oh, he's nearly dropped the red there, but this could be a bit of a lifeline there for Higgins, because he's got a chance to try and take this red away. Yes, he's still going to need a snooker, but at least he manages to find himself, a way out of this stalemate. And it may have actually been worth to try and hang in there to make sure there is going to be a mistake to be made from Murphy's point of view. And for now, it's going to be a point here for John Higgins, looking to try and get a couple more of those on the board, and then try and get a snooker lined up with the last of those reds available. Probably leave that one at the top end side of the table, and then just try and make his way past the yellow, green, or any more of those colours. He's now getting the black in with a red combination, so behind by 45 points. Points left, as you can see, 43 here. So Higgins is going to have that quick glance towards the scoreboard just to make sure that he can lose 1 point potentially of the pink if he needs to. And of course, right now, it will probably come down to, potentially leaving himself out with a chance to try and take the last of those reds with the pink. Or it depends on, of course, if he's going to be able to get a foul point with a snooker that he lines up on Shawn Murphy. So now 9 points here of the break. Trying to go for the black now into the right corner. Played the shot through the right side cushion. And make sure he's going to have plenty of pace in behind the white to try and get that one closer towards the top side of the table. He's played that one well in relation to the pace, and he's played that one well in relation to being close to that red as well. So this is where the difficult part begins to unravel there for Higgins. 37 points behind, 35 of the table. What can he do off these reds? And where can he try and put that cue ball? Probably aiming to try and put in behind the yellow here. Have a big bounce. And try and make sure he'll certainly be down to that red to be blocked off there. Oh, I mean, he nearly potted it. I mean, I'm not sure whether that was the intention to try and pot that red. It clearly was, because of how close the cue ball is going to follow the red there. But at the same time, it seemed like nearly got a snooker lined up on Shawn Murphy. And, well, I say nearly. I may have done that, Let's see if Murphy's going to have a chance to try and take this one away into the corner. And the answer is, he had the chance, but he wasn't able to take it. So still an opportunity now for Higgins to try and take this red away with an expensive colour, as Murphy's unable to go for a shot on the red, which would have killed the frame off and put him 30, sort of 38 points clear, whilst only having, the likes of 27 at the table. Of course, without a chance of a free ball or anything like this, it would have been very difficult for Higgins to try and do anything about it. But for now, he needs that cue ball to keep on rolling to try and finish off in behind the black. He played that with very little safety in relation to the red because of how close it's going to be towards the green pocket, but he certainly played that really well to try and get the cue ball to be in behind the black now. So what does this come down to? Is it going to be a chance for Shawn? They're trying to get that cue ball to be Hannon from the left side cushion. Is there going to be plenty of way to try and get around that red as well? Could have snookered to the old fox, yeah. Certainly, that is true for you to mention. I feel like the right side cushion is a lot easier for Murphy to try and get out of the snooker, but of course it will come down to how much of it can he actually see behind the black, and can he see any point beyond the, what's it called, the shot of the right middle pocket. Because at this stage, of course, you don't really want to have a risk shot there or a trial shot where you miss out on it. And then, of course, it's not even though it's not going to be a miss that is called there, but at the same time, you still don't want to allow Higgins to be back in contention to try and get that 9-6 of a lead to be the reality for him. But now just looking to try and go for the shred away into the green pocket. Having one more look at the score sheet, and it just seems like he's not really going to be too phased by what's going to be happening around him. So at the end of it, he's trying to go for a swerve around the black. It's a little bit risky, and he played this one well. Wow, somehow he's managed to get perfectly around the red, and that is going to blow this frame to be very much wide open again. Higgins needs to take this red away with the pink or the black to avoid the necessity for a respot. Well, that was anything but comfortable there. Look at how close the cue ball was in relation to that red, but as I said, plenty of room to try and get around it. And now this is exactly what happened here, and the turn is going to go back to John Higgins. So, the red and the pink, yes, you got so many of those colours to be out of position, but for now, just focus on it, 2 shots at a time. And, well, I mean, that is beyond belief to me. What happened there with Higgins? I mean, somehow pretty much miscued in that red, and he wasn't even close to trying to pot that one away. And now he will be down to 33 points of a lead. And ultimately, look at that. What a miss that is from Higgins. And now having to try and make his way back down here in relation to what he's going to have ahead of him. Because Murphy is going to have a try and, try and put this red to be over the corner pocket. Now, doesn't want that cue ball to be anywhere near the right corner. He was sort of close to the right corner, but in the end, because he still doesn't want to be leaving that red away over the corner pocket, because, it's as much as it's not going to be easy for Higgins to try and find himself to be playing the shot for the pink or the black here, but he needs to just try and have a good judgment call of the way that he wants to get that cue ball to bounce off the yellow. So this is one of those positions there where you've got a red on the plate, but you don't really want that, and want Higgins to win. We'll have to wait and see what happens, though. It's a massive frame there, you feel like, already after what happened, in the previous couple of frames where Murphy had that early lead. Wasn't able to take it perfectly well, and now Higgins was forced to try and take that cue ball onto the side cushion first, trying to make sure he avoids trying to pot that red. And now, well, Murphy's not really going to have the same luxury here, though, because if he puts the red to be over the corner pocket, Higgins is going to have a chance to try and take this one away, with very much the black there to be available at that stage. So for now, just trying to bring the brown into the open play, and get that cue ball to be lined up in behind the brown. Pretty good shot there by Shawn. Once again, it's not really the one that is going to get him 4 points here, but ultimately, of course, that's not something that he's looking for. He's looking just to get the position on the red, which will get him very much down to a chance there. If 8-6 becomes 9-6, it will eventually be 10-6 as well. Well, we'll have to wait and see if that's going to happen. For now, Higgins is trying to make a good contact with the reds, and, well, is he going to snooker Shawn Murphy back here? It's very likely to be the case. And that is very, very likely to be the case. And now, of course, Murphy just can't, allow himself to be heading for this red, make a contact no matter what happens. He needs to make sure he's going to have a chance of trying to get through this shot and still put that red somewhat safe. He's done that, and he's done that really, really well. I mean, once again, roles reversed there for 3 times there. Shawn Murphy manages to play a really good shot in behind the brown for the second time in 2 shots that he got. And now Higgins has got pretty much exactly the same type of a shot to the one that he's played previously. So he wants to try and play this exactly the way that he's done the previous time. And now, is he going to pot the red? Is he going to pot that red towards the right middle? That was close, but in the end, that wasn't quite the case as well. So then once again, it's imperative Shawn needs to try and win this frame, or else amazing snooker fight for now. Yeah, it certainly seems like the fans, and especially the neutrals, are going to enjoy it. But Murphy seems like he's not going to be at the stage of enjoying this one. He just wants to try and get this frame over and done with. And now he's left the reds to be available. And this is going to be a chance for John Higgins, because Remember, he can take this red away with a pink, and then he'll be getting himself through to a chance of trying to take the frame away from Murphy. And very much put it down to John Higgins to be the man to be winning this frame here. And try and take this one away. I mean, once again, the situation with those reds is going to be down to, if you look at them individually, the reds and the colours, of course, they're not really that bad. But of course, if you combine them all with the brown, the blue, the green, and the yellow, all to be out of position before you get to the pink, which you're still going to need, by the way, it's going to be anything but easy to try and play so many, good sequence of shots out there. And he seems to have had a bit of a struggle with the first one. He doesn't want to be straight on the yellow. Otherwise, he's not going to have a chance to try and play that one away for the green. The audience are going to applaud that, but at the end stage, he's now finding himself in a position where it doesn't really change anything for Murphy. He just needs to try and get one more point on the board, whether that's going to be the yellow, the green, or anything else. There's not going to be a way for Higgins to try and pot the green here unless he goes for a double, which probably is not going to be the best thing for him to try and do. Whilst being 24 points down and only 25 at the table. So yeah, just very much down to, just take it as one shot at a time. And Neil needs the cover from the pink to try and come into play there, because Murphy still is going to be in a position where any one of those colours is going to be winning the frame here, as long as he pots it. And the previous point scoring situations for him just doesn't seem like they were as comfortable as this. But what a long shot that is. Brilliant there from Murphy. And of course, Higgins will be disappointed the fact that he was able to do that from his own safety shot. And now Murphy finds himself to be 27 points clear, whilst having 22 at the table. Great green, fantastic green that he's taken. And now he can try and go for the brown to just roll this into the yellow pocket or somewhat close to it. And then he'll be very much down to John Higgins to try and fight this one back a little bit longer, but ultimately it won't be an easy mission for him at all, especially whilst being sniggering behind the pink and also having that brown to be right over the pocket. So it does seem like Murphy is going to try and take it down to the last frame to see if he will be very much back down to the draw again, not the end. It's not, but pretty much is the end, to be fair. Because Higgins has to try and find snookers on 3 colours out there, because he's probably going to have to try and eliminate the brown here. And he's eliminated it. So yeah, trying to get the snooker on 2 colours right now. Of course, one of them to be the cover point of the blue. And then he needs to try and get that blue to be sorted out somewhere away from the cue ball here. So it still doesn't seem like it will be an easy mission for him. But of course, that will only be very much down for a race for a respot for John Higgins. And for now, he will be very much down to Murphy having the need to try and just roll that red towards the yellow pocket. Make sure he doesn't do anything else with it. And still finds himself very much over the finish line here in frame number 15 to try and force this one down to be heading the distance. And as I say, 16 frames in, it'll be a very interesting story out there to see on if it is going to be 8 frames each, 10 frames, 6 potentially still available there. Can Shawn win the match from here? Nope. He can't win the match in the next session right now, let alone about this frame. Trying to go for a double here. Nearly won the frame with his shot though. And has he managed to put the pink a little bit more safe? He has done, to be fair. And now it will come down to a shot on the blue here for Higgins to be available. Of course, the thing about those type of matches is that you can't win a very important frame, but that's going to count as 4 of those, because it wouldn't really make sense in terms of the fair scoreline. The match possible, it's best of 33 frames, but no, but I feel like you can win the match, but you can't win it from this position, He's going to have to try and dig in really deep. He still finds himself in a position where it's anyone's match for the taking, but, Murphy's surely not going to lose a frame like that, because he's now going to go for a careful cut of the blue into the right corner, and make sure he will be very much down to, he's trying to play it safe. So once again, it doesn't seem like he's going to be in too much of a hurry, trying to make sure he's actually going to be over the finish line. And it's now been pretty much 3 hours since the match has started. Restarted, I should say, for the second session. So 90 minutes later, we're going to have the match in between Weezer and Mark Allen to be restarting. So then the blue to be taken into the green pocket. Plenty of power, but a little bit too close towards the yellow pocket there with the cue ball. Is that going to impact the angle that he's going to have on the pink? and he's not going to be too close towards the pink in relation to being behind of it. He's going to be perfectly on top of the pink, which makes the shot a little bit awkward there for Shawn Murphy to try and cue this one. But ultimately, once again, all he has to do is just try and hit this one firm in the face and make sure he puts a little bit of distance in between the blue and the cue ball here as well. And basically forcing Higgins to try and consider potting the blue here and trying to get that snooker to be lined up on the pink and the black, which may not actually be the worst case scenario, because, you know, he needs a snooker on either one of those colours anyway. And if he gets the blue in and he gets the snooker on the pink, of course, it will be probably one of the most incredible steals of the frame we've seen at the Crucible, but at the same time, it probably comes down to, you know, him getting the ability of trying to do it without needing to do the respot, which of course a foul on the pink will get you 6 points, and eventually they'll get it down to 12 points behind there of the gap of John Higgins in relation to Shawn Murphy. So that will certainly put it down to a decent chance to try and take this one away. So just try and get that cue ball to be as close to the black as he can. And he hasn't played this shot well at all. He's going to put that pink to be over the corner pocket as well. So that should be a very much frame over there. Shawn is a bit off form. Thanks for this, but we can't see it live on TV here. It would be great somewhere in all your data to have points ahead as well as points left. It's just appreciate your work, thanks. Points ahead as well as points left. You mean like right now it would be 18 points of a lead? Okay. I was actually suggested that once, and nobody suggested it to me ever since, pretty much 5 months later. But as I say, the scoreboard will evolutionize a little bit during the summer period. So yeah, I'll certainly be able to write that one down and let you know on what the decision is going to be. But we've seen the frames won. Thinking about it, what does Shawn require to win the frame? Nothing. He's won it, and now it will come down to 7 frames next to his name. And now John Higgins, he just managed to pot the pink previously into the yellow pocket, and now it will be the last frame showdown to see on what we are going to witness here. Is it going to be down to Shawn Murphy to try and put this one back to 8 frames each, or is it going to be very much the story for John Higgins still to try and take this lead away and get himself through to 9-7 of a lead as well? It's going to be interesting, and he's going to be very much looking forward to see on what's going to happen there as well. For now, he seems to find himself in a situation where Higgins is still going to have this frame to lose there for himself, because you know, it was a very nervous frame for Murphy because of how, you know, how much of a favourite he was at the starting point, but at the same stage, you know, how much of it was he actually struggling there to try and get over the finish line. But the odds right now for the actual match to be over, he'll be 194 John Higgins, and he'll be 194 Shawn Murphy as well. So the next frame is so key for Shawn. It is true. He needs to try and get that one in. Otherwise, he'll still find himself to be very much 2 frames behind, which is not too bad for him, I suggest. But at the same time, he still wanted to make sure that he will come down to a chance to be taken here for him. And he now still positioning himself pretty nicely to be lined up for a 9-7 gap. But ultimately, the first chance for Murphy is going to be absolutely key here, because so far, he's been constantly getting the first chance and getting the first glance of the position there. But how many of those things was he actually able to put away from the first time of asking? Well, the answer is not very many of them, because we've seen 68, 69, 88, 100 points worth of breaks. When it first to 14 for the 15 frames played, Murphy ought to be kilometers ahead. Yeah, but I would still say, you know, that was I feel like you're talking about a quarterfinal. When in first for 13 of the 15 frames played, Murphy should be kilometers ahead. Well, it's interesting out there, but I understand what you mean right now. So Murphy should have a lot more of a lead than what he has got ahead of himself. Yeah, but ultimately, you know, you have got John Higgins very much to be against yourself. And, you know, as much as it sounds like I'm being unfair on Shawn here, but unfair on John, I should say, you haven't got that much to lose when you come to the table and you've got, you know, 50 points ahead of yourself. Yes, that will take a lot of nerves and have the ability to try and position really well the cue ball, and you know, the pot success should be very much on key points as well. But it's always more difficult for someone like Shawn Murphy to try and get those reds to be potted when he's got 15 of them to try and work his way through. So I feel like it's not going to be, you know, so much of a problem there for Shawn if he still manages to make it down to 8 frames each, because he can only play better from here. he's not going to have any more problems to try and, allow Shawn Murphy to be down to it. But at the same time, he will be down to a decent opportunity here for John Higgins to start this frame well. And he hasn't done that at all. And he has left the red to be taken into the left corner here. Shawn is scoring heavy, but has lost control of the cue ball far too often. He's not really scoring heavily, though, in this session. Because if he was scoring heavily, he wouldn't be able to, need a second chance every single time there. To me, scoring heavily, making sure that you're going to have, 70 points pretty much every single frame there. And he hasn't done that so far. Now, he's got a chance to go for the Reds into the corner, and he's missed that one. Let's see where the Red is going to finish. And, it doesn't really matter where the Red's going to finish, because there's going to be another Red, which is available here for Higgins to try and take it into the left corner. It'll be a little bit difficult to see on how the situation on the colours is going to be down to, but at the same time, probably still going to be worth to be considering a shot like that to be taken. Long pot success, 59% for Murphy, 66% for John Higgins, but you feel like he needs to get the actual numbers in as well, because for me, it seemed like Murphy's attempting a lot more of those long reds than Higgins is doing himself. Come on, Shawn, missed again a red. Well, he has, but probably will still come down to a decent opportunity to be waiting on, because he hasn't left anything to Higgins. He's left the red over the left corner, which Higgins certainly felt like it wasn't worth for him to be taking that shot on. And now it will come down to Shawn Murphy very much back to the table here once again, looking to study what's going to be happening at the right-hand side of the table here, looking to try and play that with a cross double. A little bit of power in behind that shot and make sure the red that he played with a cross double is still going to come towards the paint spot. To play that well, as long as he got the cover on the red closest to the left side cushion. Now having a look at the red for Higgins there to be taken into the pack of a couple of more of those. And then he'll come down to the shot to be taken on the cue ball from the right side of the table. And very much put this one down to a shot to be taken into the right corner of it as well. So play with plenty of power behind it, and it was basically a plan that he was trying to initiate with no real intention of trying to pot the red, you would have thought, although he still manages to leave another chance away for Murphy. Whether it's going to be the one that Murphy decides to go for or not, we'll have to wait and see on that one, but still seems like he's going to try and keep himself to be playing the patient game, although whether that will actually work out long term, we'll have to wait and see on that one, as I say. For now, he's certainly looking to try and play a couple of more safeties. The guy seems like he's got the edge on the brown here. If he just keeps that cue ball to keep rolling, and that wasn't the case at the end. So now a chance here for the red to be taken into the left corner. But once again, ultimately, probably the only red that he can see there with Higgins. And, playing a safety shot out of it is not going to be an easy task ahead of himself. And just trying to make sure he gets a little bit closer towards those reds to be taken into the left-hand side of the table. Probably comes down to it here. He's got plenty of power to try and put in behind this shot, but has he hit that one too thick? He has. Has he left anything available for Shawn Murphy? Well, it's an interesting question, that is, because the only chance that he has got for Murphy here is probably a shot into the left middle, but is that available to him? Or is that very much going to be down to another one of those where he could have left something, but he didn't at the end? Now Murphy just needs to try and make sure he's actually going to be, of course, he can't sort of make it possible for him to be on the red here, but if he is, surely that's the way for you to try and end the second session here, to try and do it without a single mistake in the final frame, and make sure you will come down to what time does the Wu Allen match start? 7:30 UK time. No, it will be in less than 2 hours here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it'll be in 1.5 hours, so 2:30 in the UK. So that's what he's going to come down to. And then it is going to be a good shot there by Murphy. Manages to find himself to be lined up for the green, and still looking to try and go for the blue to be taken now into the right middle. Make sure he's got a chance to try and get that cue ball to be rolling towards the left part of the table. As he used a little bit too much of that pocket, he has to an extent, and that will leave him with not even the shot on the blue, but the shot on the red to be compromised. Shawn was smart to play a safety at this point. He wasn't really playing a safety as far as I'm aware. I mean, the previous shot that he's taken, that wasn't really a chance for anything else apart from the safety. It was a really good safety shot, by the way. I'm not saying anything else. But now he's once again able to get another red towards the right corner Still be on the paint here, lines up in towards the left middle. Try and take the shot with plenty of power behind it. And make sure he'll certainly come down to the pink to be taken into the left middle here. Try and get that cue ball to be positioned on for the right side cushion here. And get himself through. So chance of, were you commentating the Wu match? Absolutely. The second session is going to be here. And the pink is not going to be in the middle. As Shawn Murphy misses out on the chance to try and make some real pressure there on John Higgins. Meanwhile, of course, he wasn't really going to be too close to a couple more of those reds to be taken on. And now he will be very much down to a bit of a drought here in terms of the point scoring opportunity at 9:30 p.m. my time. Very nice. So yeah, just try and go for plenty of those reds to be taken into the left corner. Shawn needs to be fully focused. Well, he wasn't really on that previous shot. Whether he was fully focused but still not able to save the red, it doesn't really matter massively, because now Higgins has got a chance to try and take the plant of those two reds away into the left corner. And he will be very much down to trying to play two of them for the price of one, which is not really something that he would like to do. He's not going to make a massive difference out there. But at the end stage, it's now two reds that he manages to get, and then not so late. Yeah, exactly, could have been worse. Could have been very much the evening session where you've got something like 2 o'clock in the morning out there. But ultimately comes down to a shot on the blue here to be taken. So try and play this one with a little bit of topspin as well. Make sure you get yourself to be lined up for a shot on the blue to be taken towards the left middle. And get that cue ball to be closer towards those two potentially available reds for him. Towards the left corner to be taking on. So far, the rest shots haven't really been the biggest strength of Higgins, but probably haven't been the biggest strength of Shawn Murphy either there, with a couple of them to be missed, which is surprising there, because Shawn is usually the player that comes across as, fantastic when it comes to the stats on those rest shots as well. So now just having a look to see if he's going to have a chance to try and go for the red into the left corner here. 7 points each, and once again 115 points out of himself. Shawn must win this frame. He does, but he's not going to be at the table now. It's now down to Higgins to try and do something about it. Higgins and Murphy has to give back the table before. Well, certainly, that's true, but for now, you've got a really good opportunity to try and take this red away into the left corner. He's still going to have the pink available, which is very important for him, because the pink spot is now going to be free of any reds. And as soon as he pots the pink into the right corner, he's going to have a decent opportunity to try and play the red away into the left corner. And then, once again, backwards and forwards there for the pink. Plenty of reds available. I say plenty of reds, not plenty of them, but a couple of them that he can try and take, once again, on a very much a red-by-red basis. And to try and make it down to the pink to be taken for now. Into the right corner, play that shot with a little bit of topspin. So that he wants it, well, maybe, it depends on which one of those reds that he wants to try and get on. Because he hasn't played a good shot here. He hasn't played a good shot here at all. That's why I thought he was going to have to try and play that shot with topspin. Because the backspin shot that he's played, yes, potentially that brings you a couple more reds into the open play. But what are you going to be able to do with those two reds if you're going to be surely bridging over the red here? Which is exactly what's happened to him now. So what can he try and do with the red to be taken into the corner? Can he just be able to get past that red? Place that cue next to the cue ball. And it still seems like he's not really going to be happy with that one. And going for the red into the left side. He's probably going to try and play this one for the black there whilst getting the red out of the picture. But it's risky because he needs to play that shot well. And he hasn't played that shot well enough. Well, it was always going to be down to either he's going to be perfectly lined up on the black and he takes that red away, or he misses the red and he leaves an opportunity away for his opponent. And the red just about stays out of the left corner. Now, it will be down to hasty moves by Murphy. If someone can go wrong, he will. Murphy's Law, said my physics teacher. Well, yeah, but now something has gone very badly for John Higgins as well. And it's now very much back down to Shawn Murphy here to have 7 points to try and overcome. Listen, this frame was always going to be very much a summary of the way the entire session has gone, as Murphy uses the entirety of that front jaw to make sure he still drops that red in to the left middle. And he's now going to be positioning himself nicely to try and take the blue away in towards the right middle. Play this shot with a little bit of backspin here on the cue ball and get himself through to a shot to be taking on towards the left side cushion here. Play this one with plenty of power behind it and just try and get that cue ball to be running towards the red, and try and get that one as close as possibly can, and play that shot pretty well. So still now going to be lined up for the red to be taken into the right corner, carefully played in relation to the pink here to be taken. Once again into the left corner, and brings it back down to 14 points each. Shawn has to take this chance, he has to, but that won't be the first time if it's not going to be the case. But for now, once again, you feel like it's such a massive frame, especially after not being able to win it first time. If he wins it now, it's going to be all down to Higgins to try and perform in the second session, because you would feel like, despite leading through every single one of those frames, by the way, not every single one of those frames, but he hasn't been losing for any single one of those frames. And for him to be ending up on the draw, despite having 8-6 of a lead there, is going to be something that he certainly can't say that he's going to be happy with. And at the end stage, what's it going to be down to now? Can he try and get the red away into the left corner, which will free up the black spot to be a little bit more available there for Shawn Murphy. Try and get himself lined up for the black itself to be taken, and well, he has compromised the black a little bit. Still going to be on the black though. Doesn't need to do anything else with the cue ball, and just of course having a look at the way that he needs to try and pull the black away into the left corner. Higgins very quickly learned Murphy's law. He says that he has. And now we'll be down to the frame that you always need to win in this session. Does seem like sometimes, it's going to be very challenging for you to try and do that. Murphy once again in a position of some sort of control there, trying to take it down to 14 points here as his advantage, and looking to try and make it very much down to the end stage here as well. So looking to still try and, as I say, make the most out of this particular position. And if he finds himself to be in, as I say, plenty of control there, then you'll have plenty of availability there in relation to some more points to try and score there, especially after he takes the black away. He manages to be lined up for the red to be taken, although it seems like something got in his eye out there. So current session highest break, 88 by Murphy, 86 by John Higgins. It won't be the first time actually that we've seen Murphy to struggle with something getting in his vision. Current session pot success is not the best of 86%, but at the same time that was probably down to the opposition players not leaving any easy chances there, although I feel like it can't really be said about someone like Shawn Murphy or John Higgins, to be fair, because different chances but different opportunities, but at the same time probably equally as good there and equally as challenging at the same time. Shawn has done really well to battle in this match. He has so far, but it won't really come down to a lot more of a battle if you lose it. You have to come down to a battle when you win the performance like that. So for now, just trying to carefully go for the red away into the right corner. Make sure he's still going to be able to be on the blue here, and he's not going to be on the blue nicely. So it does seem like a bit of a problem here, and a bit of a stumbling block for Shawn Murphy. He needs the 5 points from the blue, to be fair, but a lot more. He needs a position here to try and get on the next red to be available to him. This is not an easy shot at all, and he's played that into the wide part of that pocket, and he's managed to get that one in. So just about hanging on here to try and continue the rake. 8-all will be a fair result, given both had moments of brilliance and unforgivable errors. Agree? Once again, I feel like 8-all is probably going to be very much the scoreline that, Murphy against Jones and Tom was sharing. It was nearly down to Robertson. Well, it wasn't too close away, but still was not too far away from Robertson and Higgins having the same scoreline as well. And now, going to have something to be. Let's have a look. Not too sure where the noise came down from, but the way that he's looking at it, there's not really a lot of people in the crowd out there, so it may be coming down to someone in the studio or something like this. Yeah, anyway, not too sure what that was all about, but Shawn clearly wasn't happy with something, but hope for himself that it won't really distract him too much, and he can still try and take this red away with no problem at all. He's done that. The other match start at 2:30 p.m. We start the other match immediately. Now, he will start with the pace that we're going, he should start in an hour here, but, it will depend on how quickly this frame number 16 will finish. It should be very much at 2:30 as the benchmark, and then we'll have to wait and see what happens there. And is the paint going to stay out? Wow, that was a bit of a weird one, because you feel like he's trying to play that shot with power, but at the same time, it'll be very much down to a very important shot on the paint there that is going to be missed by Shawn Murphy. And now a break of 28 points will see John Higgins to come back to the table with a really nice chance to try and make things right there for himself. So now this red just about gets past the black here, but ultimately it'll be very important for him to try and get himself lined up on the black here as well. Not an hour to finish. Does not still be playing well. You never quite know. I know what you mean there. It's not quite a semi-final of Mark Cullen against Mark Selby in 23. Now then, playing the shot with topspin. Make sure he's going to have that cue ball to be rolling towards the black now to be taken. And make sure he avoids the contact point on that red. And the black played that shot well. To be fair to Higgins, he's played that shot really, really well. And he leaves himself with a chance now to try and take this one away from Shawn Murphy because, you know, Murphy will find himself in trouble here. He's going to have to try and come back stronger in relation to this particular frame. Probably the only red where he can go wrong for Higgins. He'll probably be down to the one onto the side cushion. But apart from that, there's not a lot you can say where, you know, things might start to get wobbly there for John. As for now, he's just going to have to try and do the easy part of the task. Make sure he's going to have those 3 reds, which is not going to be easy, either one of them. I mean, he's managed to put the easy reds now on the break of 9 points and counting. Someone in the crowd had irritated Murphy, fair play. Well, thank you for letting me know, but yeah, of course, if that's never nice for you to be seeing, but it's, yeah, I mean, what were they doing? Shouting something, eating their snacks, or their mobile phone was ringing. I mean, you can frustrate players very easily, and of course, you could see there was a little bit of, I'm not going to say there was a little bit of rush there on Murphy to try and take that red into the corner, and of course, as soon as he took that pink, it seemed like he was going to find himself in a little bit of a struggling point. And now Higgins is the one that is about to put Murphy in a lot of a struggle point here. If he's able to take that red away from the side cushion, he's done that. Is he going to be on the pink nicely though? Well, not quite. And he's going to have to try and play a really nice shot here because he got the red in. He managed to put one of those reds to be at the top part of the table as well. But now, what can he do in relation to those colours? The black is out of the picture. Yellow-brown out of the picture. So it does come down to blue or pink. I mean, the blue is probably the colour that he's thinking about right now. But at the same time, it's still missable. And also, you got that cue ball to be powering with so much speed there that it's going to be difficult for you to try and control this one. And he's made that blue in. Now, how's the cue ball going to be positioning for that red to be taken into the corner? It's not bad. It's not badly placed at all. And now he's got himself 1 point of a lead there. And I'm looking good at Higgins because he's more stable and calm to manage his game. So, and fair play to Higgins. When Murphy missed, Higgins has punished him. Yes, so far he has. Let's see what's going to happen in this frame as well. It does probably tell you the picture of the entire match there, by the way, because it'll probably be very much coming down to what can we see here from Higgins. But at the same time, is he going to be very much back down to the same thing for him to try and achieve? We'll have to wait and see on whether that will be the case. But you probably feel like it will be a logical resolution to me. You know, it's a very talented punishment that's so enjoying to watch. Listen, it's not quite over yet. I'm going to say it. He's got 2 reds to try and deal with, and then he's got the yellow to be right next to the brown as well. So this is missable. And wow, he's missed it. Now he nearly fluked it into with a double kiss there off the cue ball. Well, that's a bad shot there, and it's a really bad timing as well for John Higgins, and that is going to give the turn away back to Shawn Murphy. A little bit of the front jaw that he caught, and in the end, that should be the mistake punished there. And for once, it would be Shawn Murphy trying to do that, despite being the player that had that break of 35 points to start the frame with. It's once again just unable to do it with the first time of asking, but still a very important 16 frame. And he's now having another look to see on what the situation is going to be down to that red, trying to get himself through to a chance. I'm watching cable TV, and Murphy's clearly pissed off by someone in the crowd. It happens, but hopefully it won't be right now. And, well, the blue is going to be close to the cue ball. He's just about going to be perfect on this one, despite being so close towards the blue. That will still give him the, necessary maneuverability that he needs to try and get past the red and get himself very much lined up for that red to be taken into the middle pocket. And now it comes down to the issue, as I said, the yellow not being available into its own pocket. It'll have to be taken into the right middle or into the green pocket as well. So for now, well, he's thinking about it, The yellow might actually go into its own pocket here as well. And this is going to be making life of Murphy a lot easier there as well. But at the same time, if you're going to try and go for that ready to be taken into the left middle, he's going to have plenty of power to try and stop that cue ball. And very much position himself for the brown here to be taken. It's a risky shot there. Clearly trying to get the brown away from the yellow's weight first. And then get himself to be lines up on the brown on the opposite pocket there. So seems to have played the brown shot well. Now is he going to be lined up nicely for the yellow here to be taken into the middle? Because this is where, you know, the last shot, which is going to be a bit unorthodox for him, to try and take it down to very much the 5-colour clearance, which will consist of all the 5 colours to be on their spots there, apart from the pink. But he won't have to care about the pink at all, because the frame ball should be the brown. As he finds himself to be 12 points clear, made that 15 on the green. The brown will take him 19 points clear, and then he will be only 18 points at the table. So, after all that drama, you know, 800, pretty much 900 points there that Shawn Murphy has managed to score here. It will be very much down to the shot on the blue, and it will be very much down to a very important break there at the end of 25 points for that. And at the end stage, it will be very much down to John Higgins to try and battle his way out of 8 frames each, because he has lost 2 frames on the bounce right now. And Murphy, at least he manages to win the session on a bit of a high point, and it will be very much down to a good session of snooker that we've seen. It's a pretty level one as well, and it will be back down to Shawn Murphy against John Higgins to try and battle their way to make it down to a 1-session shootout. He will be very much a guarantee not to finish with a session to spare, because now we've got 8 frames each and very much nothing to separate the players. 4 each after the first session, 8 each after the session number 2, and the action seems like it's only going to get started. A quick break of an hour, and then we'll be back with you on Weezer against Mark Allen. Feel free to tune into that one as well. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you for everyone that has tuned in, and as I say, feel free to be back to the 2:30 match of Weezer against Mark Allen, as we've got the session number 2 to be coming up very, very shortly. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you very, very soon for the match action to resume on the semi-final number 2, about to enter session number 2 as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned in. More action yet to come.
Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town.